Welcome home to the native, landing on a podcast space destined for greatness. 60 minutes or so hit, not too long for the grave ship. High level combo, politics in a way that you can taste it, then digest it. Politics touches you even if you don't touch it, so get invested. Cross the T's and dot the I's, Gillum back to get 'em, stand on business with Rye. You could have been anywhere, but you chose us. Native Land Podcast, the brand that you can trust. Yes.
Home, y'all.
Welcome
this
home.
is Native Land Pod. It is day 2 of Live from the Shy. We are at the DNC. Happy to be here. We had an incredible show yesterday. We are your hosts, Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum.
What up?
And this is episode 34.
34, family.
It is.
34.
This episode is the same age as me.
Oh, my God.
So that would be not true.
She
but-
aged 8 years since last night.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you?
No, I'm just saying.
Welcome home, y'all.
We are
Welcome.
thrilled to be here. We have an incredible show, but before we get into today's show, I would love to hear about you all's highlights from last night at the Democratic National Convention.
Wait, do you mean highlights from like what happened at the convention, or just highlights from our time here in Chicago?
Oh, I
Maybe
think
the
we should keep it to
convention.
day one.
Maybe
Of the
convention.
convention.
Because there have been so many highlights.
Just pick one.
Well,
Okay, can I just
yesterday,
say we
trying to
didn't
get
have
in this
deep
place,
dish?
watching them people. Remember
Yes.
that dude where that happened?
I
Yeah.
Well,
know.
we'll
That
tell
was
that-
crazy about what
Yes.
happened to that man.
But we'll
Guys,
tell them later.
Yeah.
We have a story for you that we'll tell another time, but there was something that happened yesterday, so be sure to tune in to Native Land Pod every
When we're
time
not here
we
in
broadcast.
this city, we're
Yes.
gonna tell you the
When
story.
we have to escape the city. So I
Because
have
the
to
block
say,
is hot. The block is hot.
hi, Jamie Harrison is saying hello.
Hey,
The
Chairman.
chair of the DNC.
This is what we did yesterday.
I know.
You're coming on tomorrow,
So
right?
for our viewers
He's
who are
gonna be
watching
here tomorrow.
at home, Jamie Harrison is the chair of the Democratic National Convention. He's done an amazing job. The Democratic National Committee, forgive me. He's done an amazing job the past couple of years. He, as you may remember, is out of South Carolina, ran for Senate, and now he chairs the DNC. So we're honored to be here with him. Angela
Thrilled.
moderated an event with him earlier this week, so he'll be on tomorrow.
He's going to be on tomorrow, right?
Yes.
He's going to be on tomorrow.
We're going to talk
Look.
about all of his
He'll be with us.
strategies for
And I
winning,
know-
his investments for helping us win in the
Yes.
states, all that good stuff.
They can't see, but we have a whole audience that's
Yes.
standing here in front of us watching. So we want to shout these guys out for being here and
Yay.
being
Hi,
loyal
Harry.
Native Land Pod fans. But I want to say the highlight for me yesterday was definitely Joe Biden. There were so many moments, but when he closed out and said, like, America, I've given you
My best.
everything I can. Yes.
My best.
I don't want to say I was in somebody's room watching this, having some snacks, and I saw a little tear come out of somebody's eyes. I don't want to say who.
Oh, stop
but-
it. Stop it.
You guys
Hold
saw
on,
you.
can I just
I
say,
did. I
time out.
did.
I am so pissed off right now. You guys watched this together and didn't tell me?
Okay, let me just say
You
this.
guys are so fired.
No,
You unfortunately took your food from the lobby and you went up to
Yes.
your room.
Well, and I shouldn't have done that because I
You
got
was gone.
accosted in the elevator,
you
but
was-
we'll tell that
Oh,
story
that's
another
another
time,
story.
too. My God.
But I was not planning to go to Andrew's room.
I don't want to hear it, Tiff.
Okay, all right.
Well, I
You
was,
guys, and
I
if
was
and
planning.
you guys have me over here in timeout in Plessy versus Ferguson segregation corner
Whoa,
over
whoa,
here.
whoa,
I'm in
whoa.
We're gonna have a lot
purgatory
of
at the
Yellow,
DNC.
yellow alert.
Please
yellow
tell
girl
me,
alert.
y'all, why am
yellow
I over here
girl
by
alert.
myself? They are
Yellow
tag
girl alert.
Tell your camera
teaming me
shot.
by myself. Everybody's so confused. It's fine.
No.
Thank
The-
you. I can't hear
Angela-
you, sir, but I
The
thank
point,
you.
Angela was on the call handling business. She's been responsible for the production, doing so many things. I was going to my room.
Me by
Andrew and I were
myself.
exhausted.
Yeah.
And I told Andrew I didn't want anything to eat. And
I ordered you something.
He did. He ordered me something
That's
anyway. And
nice.
he
You're a
ordered me a
good
watermelon
brother.
salad. And he was like, "Do you want?" I'm coming to your room then to watch Biden. And so I think Andrew was ready to go to sleep. But anyway, we
I really
watched.
was.
And at the end of the speech, I looked over to Andrew, and it was a little single Denzel tear rolling down.
Not
Shut
a
up.
single Denzel tear. Okay, so what was your highlight?
Well, I
Andrew
mean-
Tiff's highlight was you crying. What was your highlight?
So sometimes, when you yawn.
Yes.
And,
Not
waterworks.
the yawn in the speech, bro.
No.
Okay,
It was
okay,
over. It was
okay.
beginning to be over.
Okay.
But in truth, I was touched sincerely by, one, the love, the almost 5-minute ovation that Democrats gave to Joe Biden
Yeah.
last night. It
Yeah.
was so due. It was so merited. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again today that I think he committed the most selfless act in politics I think that I certainly can remember during my lifetime.
Yeah.
And it still has Donald Trump flummoxed because he didn't think it was possible for the most powerful person in the world to say,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna step back
Yeah.
when they have an opportunity to stay there. And so that was really touching. I thought Hillary Clinton's, although we didn't get to hear it all,
In
I saw
real
some
time,
of the recap of it. I thought it was a really powerful address given by her. And
Yes.
we talked yesterday about whether or not she might feel some sort of way being at this convention where she previously was challenged by Trump.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the election outcome was what it was. And then to now see Kamala, another woman, in this position where she's competing to vanquish this great enemy of ours, with a great chance of being able to do so. She showed up for her, and I love that.
I will say very briefly, my highlight yesterday, in addition to sitting here with Congressman Thompson, who is just a legend, and the questions Tiffany asked him to just pull out like the best of him, and like knowing y'all, I don't know if y'all really know, he does not like to do press that much, and he was like, I'm just gonna be here as another host with y'all and Cari and Derek, and that was fantastic. I will also say, I love to see Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Lauren Underwood, the women who are undergirding this party, this convention, a new generation. You're talking about passing the torch in real time, seeing that happen over and over again throughout last night was incredible. I think you really saw them embody what it really means to be a big tent. Tonight's theme is a bold vision for America's future, and I think we'll see more of that. And of course, to help us talk about that future and how we continue to not just honor, but to support and to build infrastructure in communities of color and to the rising majority, as Tiffany Cross always says, is LaTosha Brown from Black Voters Matter. We would love to bring her. Black Voters Matter is a partner of Native Land Pod. We are thrilled to have LaTosha Brown joining us.
Oh, you got company. You got company.
I got my sister coming up here.
You got company.
Sis, thank
so you guys, if you watch news, if you follow politics closely, you know LaTosha very well. She has an amazing voice. But what I love about LaTosha is you cannot tell the story of America without talking about LaTosha Brown and the work that she does. We don't want to leave out Cliff Albright as well, her partner and co-founder of Black Voters Matter. But LaTosha, you show up when nobody calls.
That's right.
When Hurricane Katrina happened, nobody asked you. You just sprung into action, and you love everybody, but you love Black folks like you love yourself. And
like
it is just
the
amazing
embodiment
to be.
of like the ancestor spirit, right?
Yes.
This sort of brings it. But in a young, visionary woman like yourself.
Ethereal.
How
She's
are
a
you?
spirit. She's an empath. She's our deity.
Oh, no. Don't put that on me now.
Well,
Don't put me on that now.
Well, she's definitely a griot, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
She's a
And a
griot
prophet.
herself.
Yes.
And an evangelist.
A warrior shaman.
So now that we have
Listen.
called you all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
All the good things.
Not only the pressure.
Right. Welcome, sis.
Thank you. I am at the Native Pod. I'm just happy to be here in Native
your
land.
land.
This is our land. This is our, and I feel it. I feel the spirit. I'm so proud of y'all. I love each and every one of you. Like every week I'm listening because I was like, listen, let me get grounded. Let me get right. I was like, Angela gonna bring some fire and put some spice on it. Like Tiffany gonna like, look, well, I'm just saying. And literally my brother is always, I'm gonna be the voice of reason. Until I ain't.
Until I'm not.
Oh, I love that. LaTosha,
That's true.
You are doing the people's work.
That's right.
And it is always our honor not only to lift you up and to encourage you, but anytime you call on us, we want to be there with you.
Right.
I'll never forget, and Tiff, I hope you don't mind me telling this story.
Go for it.
We were on the other side of, what MSNBC did to Tiff. And we knew there was no other place we should be but in Atlanta next to you, working with you. And I remember, like, the people that you pour into, pouring back into Tiffany. Talk about why the work of Black Voters Matter is so critical, especially in a moment like this.
I think that it's important for us to recognize that if change is to happen, if we're going to have the nation that we desire and we deserve, then we're going to have to create it.
Right.
We've got to generate it. And the way that we generate it, we're going to have to generate it. Really, it has to be strategy. We need strategy, right? But it's not just been strategy that's moved us forward. It's been spirit.
Yeah.
It's been strategy and the spirit and the ancestors, the spirit of resistance, the spirit of freedom, the spirit of love, like loving each other. When we haven't had anything else, when we didn't have money, when we didn't have land, when we didn't have kind of the politics, what we had is we had this sense of self and a love of each other that would actually take us through. And so for us with Black Voters Matter, we wanted to create an organization that was unapologetic about being Black, right? We ride around in a big bus of 58 foot bus and say we're in the blackest bus in America. We wanted to own and affirm that, and not just say that we're participating in the election, because we're really not an election group. We're a power building group. We're real clear that all the work that we're doing is really about how do we build power for black folks. And when people are talking about voting, yes, voting is one key, and is a very, very powerful tool, but it's also a space of when you own your agency. There's something about voting that's really about owning your agency, that if a decision is being made about me and mine, I need to be a part of that process, right? That's fundamentally, and also we have this space around when people are actually hurting and harming our communities, there has to be a consequence. So you can't continue to serve in office and hurt and harm us. We've got to send a message loud and clear, like this ain't going down like that, right? But also to create space, if it's nothing else, for harm reduction, to reduce the harm happening to us, to actually work collectively together and really move towards a vision, a collective vision. So that's the work that we do.
I love that.
And that's why we do it. You want the three things, I call it 3 M's. The 3 things we do is money, it's movement building, and it's message. In the last 7 years, we've really been blessed. One of the things that we always would sit around and we were like, how could we invest in black communities? We've invested over 40, I think, as of now, I think it's over $41 million and black-led grassroots groups in the last 6 years to do power building. That's everything from reparations, organizing around reparations, to organizing around police accountability, to actually doing election work, to referendums. At the end of the day, how black communities define what power building is for them, we want to be in alignment with them and support them around that. In addition to that, we also know that the message matters. That's why I'm so happy you all are doing this podcast. We need black media. We need places like this. If I had all the money in the world, right? When I hit the lottery, I promise y'all that my first investment is going to be this podcast right here, right? Because the world needs to hear your voices. You all have clarity, and I'm just really, really grateful to be in relationship with you.
You know what, sis? First of all, everything you said, Kosan, love, that whole investment piece at the end there, truth? Yeah. But I have to tell you, I am in awe of your mission, vision, and the fact that you are defining yourself outside of any election cycle. So often donors and media and others like to put organizing in the black community in the bucket of election turnout and what's happening with the black vote and the da-da-da-da-da. And you're saying, no, that's not the box that we're in. We're not in any box. And what I have to say, as a person who had run for office and have gone into communities where we have felt really disempowered, really not invested and really not seen, it's groups and efforts like yours who were there before the election, after the election, putting pieces back together and renewing in people a belief, a system that they're not some commodity to be traded on.
That's right.
But rather we're an investment to be made. We are a community that gives, we feel, we love, we breathe, we have disappointments, we have ups, we have downs. And what you're doing is you're helping to give that greater credibility. And hopefully what it will do is recruit greater investment in our community that is there outside of anybody's election cycle.
That's right.
Because if we do that work and people start to believe that that's how change gets created, that this is an element of the change that we're trying to see, then I have to believe that we won't need the investment of these short-term voter registration turnout projects. Why? Because the work will be there 365. And I'm just curious, before we go to our other bad A sister over here, is that how are you experiencing the donor class as it relates to investing in that kind of movement
The largely
building?
white male donor class.
Very sure.
Part of what we actually decided that when we started the organization, and I just want to be honest, Cliff and I, we always tell the story, we quit our jobs and we started the organization. We had the idea that we wanted to create, the name is actually Black Voters Matter Fund. We were very intentional from the beginning that as organizers for multiple decades, that part of the challenge we had, sometimes when there was an election or there was an election happening, but if the candidate did not invest in the campaign or a party, there were no resources. But it mattered. It mattered who was county commissioner. It mattered who the sheriff was, but there were no resources available if the party or a candidate wasn't put in there. And we were like, our power should not be tied into whether a candidate believes that that is important enough. We've got to find a way that the candidate that we're running for, the candidate that we're doing our work for, the candidate that is ongoing is Black power. We wanted to be very intentional about being Black. That's what our colors are. Our colors ain't red, white, and blue. I know that this is pretty around here, right? It's pretty, right? But our colors are red, black, and green.
Come on.
Right? That we wanted to literally lift up and have a foundation around Black liberation and be unapologetic with it. And so that our alignment wasn't with a political party or a political candidate. Our alignment was really around how do we help Black folks, as they define, build power in their local communities. And if we do that enough, and we're connecting that enough, and we get Black folks just to believe in their own power.
That's it.
Just that, point blank, period. If Black people believe in our own power, what we have shown is we will change this nation. We have everything that we have stood in the space of our power, even whether we had the majority of numbers or not, right? We have created change. And so that's what we wanted to literally build off the rich history of that, the real history of struggle, of spirit, of strategy, and putting those things together really to advance not just Black liberation for us, because I actually fundamentally believe that all people will actually benefit from Black liberation. If you lift up those communities that are on the fringes, those communities that have been marginalized, then it has always made life better for all of us. When Black folks fight for housing, our white counterparts, everybody benefits from housing. So that's what our vision is. That's our dream. And we're just really grateful to be in service of the ancestors. We are grateful to be in service of our people. We are grateful to go around and say, in this space right now, baby, be clear. We are big, bold, beautiful, and Black.
We cannot wait to get on the road with you. We have some work to do, including always building Black power. And speaking of red, black, and green, look at them over here.
Look at them.
I want to welcome Brittany Packnett Cunningham, our activist, writer, and a friend of ours. We are a part of a Machete's crew. We waiting for one more to join us.
That's right.
She's at Brittany. We are so thrilled for you to be here, sis.
Brittany, you are an activist out of Missouri.
Yes.
You also served on a council for the President Barack Obama. You do a lot of social commentating, but also a lot of work on the ground still.
Appreciate that.
And a hell of a lot of preaching.
And a hell of a lot of preaching. And she and LaTosha both do some amazing singing. But she's also, as Angela said, a Machete member. So thank you for being here.
But you know what, though? I'm a little bit mad because I love you all so much. But the agreement was that if I was going to do Native Land Pod, I could not speak after LaTosha.
Oh, get out of here.
Come on, Bishop.
The word has been
misinformation.
preached. The benediction has been prayed. The collection plate has been passed.
Almost passed.
Right? It's everybody out in the vestibule now. It's the let out.
She delivers a sermon every time. Every time she delivers a sermon. I'm really happy you're joining us on set, Britt, because one, I just love when we all get to be together as our sister circle. We were in Mexico together a few weeks. You can check some of our thirst traps if you like.
Don't you everybody ain't got a thirst trap,
Tiff's
Tiffany.
first traps.
Whoa, yes.
First traps.
Please be specific.
Speak for yourself.
Listen.
Speak for yourself.
Literally.
If you're sexy, just show it.
Thank you, Tasha.
Let them know
we can do good work and for everybody.
We surely can.
I'm clearly not a Shetty. I'm just here in witness. I'm serving witness.
That's all right.
Serving witness.
I try not to say that part out loud.
What is the task for people watching at home right now? Because I think, I was just talking to one of the mayors earlier saying this was the plot line here was so unbelievable, it rivals a Tyler Perry plot. If this were in a movie, I'd say this is ridiculous. It's just not believable. But yet here we are, and the country turned like that. It wasn't even a month ago that Vice President Harris is now our nominee. So for all the people who were a bit apathetic, who are now excited and hopeful, what beyond that hope and excitement do people need to be doing right now to make this a decisive win?
I love this question because it's action-oriented, and LaTosha and I were together last night having a conversation about organizing with some folks.
Fine.
The meeting started at 10:30.
I was going to say, you were already asleep. Let's be honest about it. But
We
the
still
truth
didn't
of the
get
matter
no
is,
text message. But don't worry, Britt. They did the same thing. They watched the speech
Brittany,
together.
all these
without me.
FOMOs,
Now
all
I
these
really feel
this
like I'm
fear
in
of
the
missing
middle.
out.
You is
I'm
in the
telling
middle,
you.
girl. And you the youngest, so you know you always gonna catch it.
Right.
Yeah.
I do get. Can we talk about that at some point? Because I feel like nobody acknowledges that. But it's true. I get it real rough. But this is the right question, right? Because we often are talking about a lot of the things that we are dealing with, the trauma that we endure, the ways we've had to survive and be creative and innovative. And yet, we often don't have the time left to be imaginative, to be strategic, to actually dream up the world that we deserve and say, let's plan backwards from it and figure out how we get there together, because it's not freedom if we don't get there together.
Right.
That's real.
So I really think that this question about action is so important. But the action starts within. You actually have to begin to take the time to expand your imagination. Like, sit outside for 5 minutes.
That's right.
Stare at the sky and say, like, if I'm truly going to be my ancestors' wildest dreams, then how wild can my dreams get? Because there are a lot of folks for whom this week and the culmination of it and the nomination of Vice President Harris to the ticket will be their wildest dreams. But guess what? We here. So now you got to go dream bigger. Now we have to go ideate further. Now we have to go expand. So I think that that's the first thing we do. The second thing that we do in particular is we have honest conversations with one another. There is a tendency in our community to say, go vote because I said so. To say, go vote because I literally watched somebody say, I'll put you over my knee and spank you. And I was like, I don't think you should be telling grown people that, A. But also, like, when is the last time somebody ever condescended you into anything?
That's right.
Like, when somebody said that to you when you were an actual child, as an actual child, you rebelled. So what do you think we're going to do as an adult? Exactly. There is a reason why people are feeling squeezed out. There is a reason why folks are saying, well, you told me 4 years ago was the most important election of my lifetime, and now you telling me again, and you said that 8 years ago. So how is it the most important every time? I thought that was last time.
Especially when ain't nothing changing on my block.
Exactly. So we have to acknowledge where people are and then encourage them, as LaTosha has been saying, to actually dig deep and reach into our own power. I'm not a person who likes to leave any tool or power on the table.
That's right.
Like, if I'm trying to get something done for my son, for y'all nephew, then I'm going to go to hell and back to make it happen.
For sure.
Why would I not do that for my people?
For sure.
Why would I not vote and protest? Why would I not protest and strategize? Why would I not strategize and use content and media? Like, I'm not leaving nothing on the table for our freedom. I refuse to do that. And that's the kind of activity that we have to decide to be engaged in every single day.
I love that.
I just want to tell y'all real quick, while the show's going on, this is actually one of my favorite parts of the Democratic National Convention, but it's real special today. The roll call is happening right now.
I love it.
And Britt, while you were talking about imagination, you saw Wes Moore holding the mic like a hip hop artist.
Right.
Governor, no, it was dope. Governor Wes Moore, our black governor from
My
Maryland.
black governor.
That's
Yeah.
black governor
Maryland.
from Maryland. But our black governor, because we ain't got enough.
Okay.
Saying that Maryland is committing its votes to Kamala Harris. What a historic moment. You talk about imagination all the time. You talk about it all the time. They're also holding everybody, including our dear sister Errin. So talk about imagination right now.
Yes, that is. But can we just take a moment to acknowledge that, though?
Yes.
That this
It's
historic
major.
candidate at a
That's
time
right.
with the first black woman president, or the president-elect, because I speak it into existence.
Hallelujah.
LaTosha, you, I hope you don't mind me violating our confidentiality agreement and talking about our
You
group
go
chat.
over some money, child.
Yes, I owe LaTosha my
Elsie
life.
said, what's about to
So
happen?
it's fine.
Right.
But LaTosha, we were all at the Machete group chat. We were in there, and we talk 8,000. If you miss the group chat for an hour, you come back and it's
Tiff trying to
10,000
get kicked
messages.
out. What's she about to say?
But this is worth violating.
And she on the stage with 3 Scorpios right now. How did that go?
I'm over
It's
here like,
worth
where's this
violating.
going?
When we were talking about the chances for Vice President Harris,
Yes.
and LaTosha wrote this. I'm like, this is going in my book. It was a dissertation where LaTosha was saying, essentially, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's just time.
That's right.
Like, there was no other option. That it is time. The work that black women have done, and I can't echo your words as beautifully and poetically and lyrically as you do, but I read that and got teary-eyed because there is no other option other than for this to happen. We talk about the dream and the hope of the slave. And some would argue the dream and the hope of the enslaved was not to succeed here in America, but to go home, back to our roots. And here we have a convergence, a confluence of all of that happening. We have gone to the motherland together, and now we have this bridge of the enslaved everywhere. She is the daughter of immigrants.
Yes.
People don't realize that the enslaved were also in Jamaica.
That's right.
We
More
are
of them in
stretching
Jamaica
back.
than here.
Exactly. We are reaching across continents. We are reaching across nations and leading the way here in America. And I have goosebumps. So for what gives you, because I share that spirit with you, what gives you that self-assured, unshaken faith that the wind is at our back now? This is going to happen.
Because we're here. Like, and I need people to sit in it. We are here. We are literally the children, the great-great-great-grandchildren of those who they were so our families, our ancestors were so dehumanized, they weren't even considered full human beings, right? That to be able to read, right? Here we are literally running colleges, creating colleges, establishing them. We were, oh, look at the machete!
The machete.
Well, y'all,
Cari, you come over here.
Hey, Cari,
Let me just
Cari,
say, come on
Cari.
here.
Cari.
Okay.
Why don't you just come
Okay.
No, we already worked that out. That's what they're doing.
No, we want you to, Andrew. Come on.
Keep your, no, it's all taken
It's a
care of.
tribute
So
to the
as we-
Shetties.
as
That's
we-
right, you-
No, that's already. It's
I'm
already
get my
worked
ass
out.
out of here.
So let me just say to our people watching at
thank you,
home, we
too.
are joined by 2 additional Machete members, part of our Machete group chat. We have the amazing Cari Champion. You all
Pew,
know
pew,
Cari
pew.
Champion.
What up,
She has done
Cari?
amazing work in media and sports. She's constantly calling me, asking me to explain something sports related to her. It's exhausting, but she is an amazing. You've seen Cari everywhere. I call her the catwalk assassin. You can see why. And
bad, she bad. They
my
all bad.
sister in journalism, Errin Haines. I know you all see her, and so many people tell me how much they enjoy Errin Haines, who is the face of the 19th. Please check out her newsletter and that platform. But so many people, Errin, always tell me how amazing you are on television. And I was telling Angela on the way here, I'm like, they don't even know the real Errin, because as great as she is on MSNBC.
Hold on, ATL.
Listen,
Listen.
Southwest Atlanta Errin.
Be real clear. This is the SWATs.
1990s Fifi
Lord.
Errin.
Wow.
The SWATs Errin
This is
is
the
a
SWATs,
whole other
baby.
level. She is the wittiest and funniest
God.
in our group chat.
That's right.
But also just so smart, your scope on things. So it is, I just feel like this is a dream to
It
have all
is.
the machetes.
Why would you
on
We
leave
had a
set
machete
in our
roll call
budget.
with Kamala's roll call.
That's
I
right,
want to
come
tell you
on.
just a technical thing. Who are you?
Brittany and Cari are gonna share
I was
this
about to say
mic.
Aaron. You guys
you
are
can-
sharing that
yeah,
mic. You
okay,
can lift up
great.
your little
Your
little
hand
piece.
can
lift this
Cari.
up.
You're gonna
We're
share that
sharing a mic
handheld.
and a seat.
Yes.
I'm so sorry my thickness is pushing you out.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Lordy.
It's
Oh
just
my
one
gosh.
cheek.
You're not
Just
that
one
thick.
cheek.
You're not that thick.
You don't have to tell the people that.
One cheek.
Well, let's start with Errin and we'll work our way down.
I love it.
Errin, as a journalist, you take a different scope of things. What does this moment mean for you? Because I feel like some people enter this space as a journalist, some people enter this space as a woman, some people enter this space as a Black person. Where are you right now? In what order? Oh, you got to unmute her
Oh,
mic.
Lord, I was so in the
All right,
moment.
go
Okay.
ahead, Errin.
Sorry,
Come on,
Errin.
Ginger.
Wow.
Do
I'm
better.
so in the
Go
moment.
ahead.
I mean,
Reclaim your time.
listen to Black women. I'm speaking.
We got
What's
you.
happening?
We got you.
Wow.
I'm speaking.
Wow.
I'm at the footstool.
Exactly. From Freaknik to the DNC. Here I am. Here we go.
She's not kidding.
No, but I mean, listen. I'm all of those things, obviously, at once. I bring all those lived identities to who I am as a journalist. Don't apologize for that. But,
Love it.
you know, I really thought about, boarding my plane to Chicago on Sunday. Sunday was the 104th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which is the amendment for which my newsroom is named. An amendment which guaranteed the right for some, but not all women.
Not Black
the right to
women.
vote. Hello. We had to fight twice as hard for even longer.
Yeah.
Before we had our full access to the franchise. We're still fighting.
Yeah.
Right? Our access to this democracy still being challenged. You see that. We could have seen that this week coming into this convention, right? Which could have been a contested convention, open convention. That's not what we're seeing here. We are seeing a Democratic Party that is unified behind a Black woman who could become the first woman president of the United States. That is not a moment that we necessarily saw coming when we started the 19th, almost 5 years ago. Literally, the 19th started after the 2016 election when we saw these tired tropes around electability, around readiness, around ambition, right? And we knew that there was a different way to talk about women, to talk about our leadership, to talk about gender and our politics in this country and the emerging small d democracy that you talked about so much, Tiffany, that you continue to talk about. So, yeah, I mean, I come to a convention where the diversity that I'm seeing in the arena is reflected on stage as well as in the audience. That's not something that I saw just a month ago at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. That is striking to me. I think we know it's real, but to see it happening, to see it in reality, a true representative democracy really in this arena. And abortion, which we knew was on the ballot, was on stage last night. That's really remarkable to think about. So, I mean, I don't know. I as a journalist, this is just a remarkable moment to cover. As a black woman, I am thinking about everybody from Shirley Chisholm to Jesse Jackson to, I mean, just so many people that paved the way for this moment to be possible. Mignon Moore, Donna Brazile, Leah Daughtry, Yolanda Caro, I mean, all just front and center in this moment. They helped to manifest the moment in which we now find ourselves. And as a journalist, I mean, I can't not mention them in this conversation. So, there's a lot there. And obviously, the 19th is feeling pretty good about, the idea that we had 4 years ago, because it's all on full display this week.
And your coverage is constantly beautiful.
So good.
It is.
Also the host of the Amendment podcast, which we didn't say. And speaking of podcast hosts, we also have Cari Champion
We got all
here.
the podcast hosts
All
up
the
in here.
podcast hosts, but we also have Cari Champion here. What I love about you being here, Cari, is this isn't something where you had to come. You felt compelled to come. I know you have that headset on, but if you don't mind picking up that mic, I'd love to talk to you about what made you want to be here? And Andrew Gillum, just because the women are occupied with 6 of these seats, you need to weigh in here. Double Dutch, man.
I'm taking in. You got to listen first.
First and foremost, thank you guys for having me. I'm standing. I just want to talk about my machetes for a minute. I'm standing out front. I'm waiting for someone to bring me a credential. And who do I see just walk up on me and was like, no, I got you. Follow me. I have a pass. We so are in sync with one another. Of all the people that I could see standing in front of the United Center, Errin walks up on me and gives me, of all the people. And it was just like, I love you so much. I love this. I love this sisterhood. I love what you all are doing. You all know that. Andrew, I love you.
Thank you, sis.
And I love Britt because she's letting one of my butt cheeks just kind of.
Yet holding on. It is yet holding on.
For dear life.
This is the workout for the day. So I am a CNN contributor, but I did not have to come. But I was like, if I miss this moment, I miss Barack's moment. But if I miss this moment, this to me felt so substantial and so bigger than us. And I felt like this appointment in which Kamala Harris has in this moment felt divine. It is a testimony to everything can happen in a blink of an eye. Overnight. My God is so real. And so I was able to witness what happened to this woman. 3, 4, 5 months ago, nobody could have told me this is where we would be.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in an instant, I am sitting here and I'm all like, this is a testimony to those who believe and who are chosen.
Yeah.
So what's meant for you is meant for you, and no one can take it away from you. And I'm watching in real time. And so I had to be here because I live that. I believe that. We all do. We've been in these moments. And it's something special. In my world of sports, as we all know, I said this, it's not an accident where you have these two entities where the women's athletics is taken off in a way in which we have never seen before.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we look at women in the world fighting, and we're saying, and I've said this before, not on my damn watch. You want to take away these things bit by bit. You played your hand, you overplayed your hand, and now we are here and we are righteous and we are taking back what is ours. There is this idea in sports that everyone needs a good story, a good rivalry story, always needs a really good person, and they need a foil.
Yeah.
Right? They need a good athlete and they need a foil. But in this instance, women, black women are the foil. We are taking it. We're taking it back. You thought you were the superhero, but the story is ours.
Ooh.
And I am so grateful to be here. And I'm more excited because I thought I was coming on tomorrow, but since you guys had me on today, I'm just hanging out, butt cheek and all, one butt cheek and all.
Love it. Well, we are so grateful, y'all. We promise y'all we needed only about 5 minutes of your time, so we're going to let y'all head on out. LaTosha got people to see and things to do. We got some other guests coming up, but we are so grateful for y'all.
Love the Shetties.
Love y'all.
Shout out to the
This is our
Shetties.
moment.
Yes.
You're welcome.
We're
Love
hanging out
y'all.
later,
Thank you
ladies.
for letting me see you. Just let me put eyes on you.
All right, love you, sis.
Love you, sis.
I hope I'm
Thank
gonna be
you,
seeing
guys.
you all later.
Yeah. Oh, I need to mute these. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn.
I love,
Thank you,
I
ladies.
love that.
Love you
We'll
guys.
see you
Bye,
later.
ladies. We'll catch you
All right,
later.
well, get in front of my
cute.
camera.
You look cute.
In the
we
camera
need
shot?
Jotaka up
What's
here. We need Jotaka. Yes, indeed.
You know,
Andrew-
as the women make transition, it is really, really, really beautiful to see this this sisterhood. The sisterhood y'all have created amongst incredible black women who are doing it big, doing it bad. Errin, so proud for you, of you.
Jotaka
Got
Eaddy is joining us as Errin is departing. Jotaka Eaddy is the founder of Win with Black Women. And as she
Y'all
hugs,
so bad.
as she hugs Errin coming up here, come sit by me, Joe. Come
Y'all
sit by
so
me,
bad.
Joe. I know that Andrew got some things to say. He got some reflections from last time too. So I want you to bring in Jotaka as she puts her headphones on. Jotaka, we winning with
welcome,
black women.
sis.
Hello.
You being welcomed by that black man.
Everybody around the globe probably by now knows who you are, given the fact that Jotaka on that, 4 weeks ago, decided that she was going to host the welcoming fundraiser for Kamala Harris as she was basically named, endorsed by Joe Biden on that Sunday, that fateful Sunday when he decided he would no longer pursue the Democratic nomination for re-election to the presidency. And then everybody started hearing about this Black Women's Call that was going to take place, that almost near 40
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
that had
Every
been
Sunday.
taking place, but
Yeah.
we didn't know it, right? The rest of the world didn't know what you had envisioned and created 4 years prior. And so we got invited into this space just very briefly to get a glimpse at the kind of power that you have been manifesting for 4 years with this group, made very evident and obvious for anyone to see when y'all pulled 40,000 women together on a phone call. Black women, the initial call, then we had black men, then we had the white sisters, and then we had, bros? What do we call the white guys?
Now we got
The
tap
white
dancers
dudes.
for Kamala.
Right.
Oh, the white, I mean,
Everybody.
it just
Garbage
exploded.
collectors for Kamala.
And I
Harris.
had-
Exploded. So I'm understating the power of it, Jotaka, but I'd love for you to, just vision back to 4 years ago and what you thought about, what you envisioned, and then bring us forward to how did all these calls come together?
Can I tell you, Jotaka, our comments, Angela can probably see, people are saying, I was one of the 44,000. So there are people who are so
Love it.
excited just to
love
see you here with
it.
us. Sorry for
No
interrupting.
worries, I love it.
Good.
Yeah. You know, I think in order to go back 4 years, we probably have to go back 60 years,
Okay.
right? Because
That's right.
Win with Black Women was born out of the lineage of the work, the struggle, the fight of black women who came before us that poured into the next generation of black women, who poured into the next generation of black women, who poured into the next generation, the colored girls, because 4 years ago, we all as black women were collectively outraged by the narrative, the sexism and the racism that had entered the conversation as it related to who was going to be vice president. Every single capable woman, black woman that was being named was facing racist, sexist, ad hominem attacks. And we as black women were all outraged.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone, I called Mignon Moore. Before I had called Mignon, I had saw a Facebook video by Bishop Leah Daughtry. And I called Mignon, I said, Mignon, what are y'all gonna do? Meaning the colored girls.
Yeah.
Mignon said, what are y'all gonna do? She meant, what are you, Tiffany, Angela, Brittany, LaTosha, Siobhan, all of us, what are we gonna do? And so it took me 20 minutes to sit there and gather myself after I got gathered by Mignon Moore. And I put out an email, and I sent that email to 65 sister friends from every sector that I had had the opportunity to work, of which 2 of those sister friends are sitting right here on the stage, Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross.
Love it.
And the first person to reply back to that email, I believe, was Yolanda Caraway and then Donna Brazil. So it's something about the colored girls who were mentored by Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, who was mentored by a Cicely Tyson.
Yeah.
And so when you think about that night, the first night, August 2nd, I believe August 1st, that we came together, it was 90 of us. And we said right then, not on our watch. They will not speak on black women in this way. And then we went on to say that there needed to be a black woman at the top of the ticket. And we said, it's time. But what we also said, that we were going to continue to do the work. And I think the important part of it is that black women have always done the work when no one was looking.
That's real.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
That's real.
And when with black women over the last 4 years, we would not be who we are today or then had it not been for women that paved the way or mentored us to be in position to have the courage and conviction to continue the work. And that has been so important. And over the last 4 years, it's been sisters like Tiffany and Angela who say, like, we're not just in the political arena with black women. We have fought for black women anytime racism and sexism has been hurled their way, or whether or not it's a sister that is, unlawfully detained in a Russian prison, and that we need to lift our voices collectively and bring her home, or if they're putting racist attacks against a young, beautiful black woman who is the Little Mermaid. We say we're going to buy out 100 theaters. And so that's the work that we've been doing. So on July 21st, our meeting was already set. Black women was already going to meet. We just needed to shift the agenda, and I think that's the importance. All we had to do was shift the agenda. The meeting was already set, and sisters caught on fire, and it's important to know we had 44,000 on Zoom.
Yeah.
Blessed be a black woman, because our Zoom opened up at 10 p.m. that night. And that's where we grew. But we had 50,000 other black women. There were 30,000 in Clubhouse. There were 10,000 on a conference call line. And that just shows that black women would figure out what we need to do anywhere, anyhow. And the last thing that I would say is that fundraising link, Star Jones dropped that fundraising link at 11:20 p.m.
Wow.
And by 1 a.m., we had raised $1.6 million.
You bad. You bad.
Well,
the other word is say, y'all bad.
Black women.
But I just want an exclamation mark this point, which was the meeting was already set. We just had to pivot the agenda. Y'all, the other way to say that is when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Speaking of that, my president just walked in. My president just walked in.
Ready to say we've been joined
Madam President, welcome.
The Delta Sigma Theta president, Miss Elsie Cooke-Holmes, who is one of the 44,000 that Jotaka's called upon, and including one of the original 60. So we wanted to be here. I thought that it was really important. Y'all know I'm about to say something a little reckless. It was really important for people that show colors and signs to know that colors and signs have united. They have united behind an AKA nominee. Yeah. And I love to see it. I got to spend some time with you, President Holmes, at the Midwestern Regional Conference at Delta, and to watch how many of you all are supporting Kamala Harris without reservation was just beautiful to see.
Love it.
I will tell you, we are excited, and this is a moment of unity. This is a moment of unity, to your point, regardless of what colors you wear. One of our Divine Nine sisters is a candidate for the United States president. And so it is so awesome. We certainly in Delta are pleased and proud that she is following the footsteps of our soror, Shirley Chisholm, who in 1972 broke ground at a time when she really had to bring her own folding chair to have that seat at the table.
That's right.
But look where we are 52 years later. And it shouldn't have taken 52 years, but we are here, and we are meeting the moment collectively. Jotaka has done amazing work since 2020, but what started with such a few has grown to a movement. And I think that everyone is following in those footsteps. And we, from a D9 perspective, Delta Sigma Theta has been doing this work a long time. All of our organizations have, and we know it's going to take all of us, and we are all in.
I love that.
You know, a lot of people in the comments, and welcome and thank you for being here with us.
You.
A lot of people are asking Jotaka, like, how did you do this so quickly? And you just explained this work was happening. You have been in this in 4 years. And so I think it's so important to note for people, some people get in this for the glory. Some people get in this to tell a story. Some people get in this to hop on a hashtag and build a platform and not a community. You were an organizer. You were part of the NAACP as staff. You and I have known each other for a long time. You know what I always say about you, and I can't pass this opportunity to say, I think Jotaka is one of the most beautiful people, y'all. her cheekbones, and I just think she's one of the most. People are noticing. People are noticing. And you also, what people may not know about you, you have an amazing singing voice. Just you bless us with your melodic timbre of your voice all the time. But if you could speak to the people who maybe hop on that hashtag activism and just press them to do a little more.
Yeah.
Especially at this moment and this time. For people, if I was alive during the civil rights movement, I would have, whatever you're doing now is what you would have been doing. So what's your piece of advice for them?
You know, my advice is that movement work is not like a microwave. We can't just pop it in the microwave like you do a bag of popcorn and just pop your way to freedom and to a movement. The work is consistent. Often the work is hard, and the work often happens, most importantly, when no one is looking. And I think that is the part that in this moment right now, yes, we can use a hashtag, but we actually have to put boots on the ground. We actually have to talk to voters. We cannot just assume that we're going to win this election on Zoom. Yes, we can meet on Zoom, but we actually got to get on doors. We got to get in community. We have to meet people where they are, and we have to meet people everywhere. That is what it is going to take to win this election. That is how movements have always been won. It's consistency, and it happens over time. It's never overnight.
Yeah.
It's never overnight. Yes, people may find out about you overnight, but the work is never overnight. And that's what it's going to take for us in this next, 80-something days that we have left.
And beyond, as you've already showed up.
And beyond.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Madam President says 77. Yes, ma'am.
77 days.
And speaking of 77, so Madam President, I'm going to ask you to just open up the window a little bit into the kind of incredible organizing that members of D9 organizations. I'm very familiar specifically with Deltas. I'm fortunate to be married to one. My sister's one. My auntie one.
Right.
The Reds all over.
Surrounded by them.
Yes. Highly influenced by them. And what I know is that whether there's a black woman at the top of the ticket in a race or not, you all have a deeply invested interest in ensuring that our community stays awake and stays organized. I'd like to hear you, if you would, if it's possible, to just illuminate for us what kind of ways in which should people expect to see Deltas at the alumni level, as well as on community and university campuses. How can we anticipate seeing them organized? If y'all listening and seeing and y'all haven't heard the news, I'm sure y'all already heard from your president around how y'all are organizing, but tell the rest of us, what can we expect to see when the full breadth, weight, and scope of your membership gets to work around activating voter registration and turnout?
Absolutely. So first of all, to your point, we are not new to this.
Absolutely.
We are truly true to this.
Amen.
And we have been since 1913, when we fought for women's suffrage at a time that black folks could not vote. But fast forward to now, we are educating voters. We're mobilizing voters. We're making sure that voters are registered, that they check their registration status so that they won't be surprised when they go to the polls to cast their ballots. We're making sure that the vote is protected, and doing that through a number of ways. We have trained our members throughout our regional conference cycles this summer, and we have additional ways to train our members as well as the community, and we're broadening that to the Divine Nine, not only on election registration, education, and mobilization, but that all-important voter protection.
That's it.
Amassing lawyers, poll watchers, poll monitors, making sure that we have that army of individuals who can be prepared to make sure that our vote is protected. And we've taken this a step further in Delta in terms of 3 lawsuits to make sure that there's over 30 states have passed laws that make it more difficult instead of easier to vote. And so as a result of that, in Georgia, in Texas, we entered into, as a co-plaintiff, into 2 lawsuits with LDF, and we're just entering in one in Mississippi. And it's around fighting the laws that make it more difficult to vote, to try to roll back those laws.
Right.
And we're being proactive in other states as well, because it's absolutely critical.
I love that.
We know that you all have so much to do, and we're so grateful that you all have joined us. And before we have you all step off, I just want to make sure you have the opportunity to say hello to our good friend, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who was just on the floor for that
wonderful to see
amazing
you.
roll call.
Yes.
We love you,
Jotaka,
sis.
Great to
wonderful.
see you.
My
Madam
sister.
President and
We love you, Jotaka.
We
Women,
love
thank
you.
you.
We love
And
you
women,
all
black
so
women,
much.
thank y'all. We
Thank you all
appreciate
so
you.
much. Before I go, I do want to say one thing.
Please.
And it's so important. And I want to be on the record saying this. People talk about the 44,000, the extra 50,000 that we had elsewhere. They talk about win with black women. But it's important to note that right after that call, the very next day, who had our backs? Black men.
It's real.
Black men. And that's so important. And now there's been hundreds and hundreds of Zooms all over, but it's so important. People try to often divide us as a people, that black women, winning with black women means that we can't win with black men, but we are winning together as a people, and I feel like we're more united than we ever have been, and I think in this moment, we think about Shirley Chisholm, and we think about how she said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair, but what I dare say is that in this moment right now, black people are leading, Black women are leading, and we are building a new table.
Come on.
And we're making sure everybody has a seat at the table.
Thank you
Come
for
on.
that.
That's absolutely right. And
Jotaka.
we're doing that from a D9 perspective as well, all across. So we've got 5 fraternities focused heavily on this work. The 4 sororities focused heavily on this work, partnering with Jotaka, partnering with NCNW, broad strategies to make sure that we are all in together. And our hashtag is D9 Stronger Together, because we know it's going to take every single one of us to make sure that we bring this home.
I love bring it home, y'all.
Love you all.
Bring it home.
I always have a seat at our table, and we will see y'all soon. We can't wait to see y'all in 77 days and up until then.
Hello.
It's good. It's good to be home, y'all.
Yeah, welcome home back.
Welcome home to our
Love y'all.
Congresswoman.
Appreciate it.
Congresswoman.
We're joined now by Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She is the first black woman to represent Boston in the House of Representatives. So another historic candidate during this time that we are making history here at the DNC. We love you, Jotaka. We thank you, Madam President. I have to tell you guys, when you saw me the last time we were together on set, I was broadcasting from Martha's Vineyard, and I camped out at the Congresswoman's home every day. I was trying to get Angela to come up there with me, and Andrew. So at some point, we will do a podcast. We hope, Angela, from the Congresswoman's
on your
home.
front porch. On your porch.
But we're so happy to have you. But honestly, because you yourself were a historic candidate, you took the office that belonged to Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm in Congress. What does this moment mean to you to watch another black woman ascend to the highest heights of the United States government?
All right, I'm feeling this on so many levels. So first and foremost, actually the dress that I'm wearing is a custom piece inspired by a Shirley Chisholm dress.
Oh, wow.
And so even though it is quite warm, that is why I'm wearing it in this full circle moment. And also, although I have the humbling honor of being the Congresswoman representing the Massachusetts 7th, which includes the city of Boston, as the first woman of color, black woman, well, person of color, period, to represent the Commonwealth in the House. But a lot of people don't know, Chicago is a city that raised me. So it is full circle in every way. And it is, I won't call it a surreal experience, because I think that denies us that it's real. It is attainable. So it is heady to be on the precipice of this historic moment when black women have been the backbone of the Democratic Party, have been at the front line of ushering in every great movement throughout history. For us to take our rightful place at the top of this ticket, it is long overdue, and everyone just keeps saying how joyful they feel, how hopeful they feel. And it's an incredible experience. And then to be here with you all.
Yes.
So it's like welcome home times 2.
Plus.
Times 3.
And the Congresswoman has had our back like since Jump Street. We jumped off.
Like
First thing she does is send us a text like, hey, I got your back. That was amazing. That was awesome. And then, of course, the worst thing that I didn't respond after,
Okay.
That's okay.
It's just craziness.
But also, shout out to Boston, because your theme song.
Yes. It's
Daniel Boston. Daniel, one of the many incredible creatives and talents that we have in the city of Boston.
We are actually being joined.
by the
He's
leader.
handshaking. I don't know if he's coming up right now, but
Your colleague,
Yes, your colleague
and future speaker.
Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who is the Democratic leader in the House. I think is he walking up now?
He's getting here, but before he gets
He's
here.
coming here because
Yes.
we have to get people to understand that we're going to do everything to ensure that Kamala Harris is Madam President, but she has got to have a Democratic majority in the House. We have to grow our numbers in the Senate in order to advance this agenda for a more just America of freedom, and that's about the future. So it's so important that the Democrats get that gavel back and that Hakeem Jeffries is our speaker to fully advance this agenda. Kamala can't do it alone.
Y'all Democrats have been incredible. The way y'all have held the line. The Republicans couldn't get together anyway these last couple of months that they've been in charge. But I'm curious to know, give us the prognosis on whether or not you think you all will have the opportunity to win back the House.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm, a national surrogate for the vice president. Was recently in Pennsylvania, a critical battleground state, and I was so encouraged by what I saw there. First of all, knocking doors, many Republicans have said they do plan to vote for Kamala. Secondly, in that 18 to 35 demographic, again, a constituency that had been, there was a huge enthusiasm gap that no longer exists. People said, I just feel, again, more hopeful, Kamala's future focused, and I feel that I'm a part of something important. Women from every age and walk of life, and this is the thing that black women do uniquely. We want to acknowledge the power of this representation. It is transformative and it is meaningful, but everyone sees themselves reflected in black women. So because we live in intersectionality, her story is the story of multitudes. And so it is a deeply resonant vision for our country, centering the humanity and dignity of every person, of every family model, in contrast to institutionalized Trumpism in Project 2025, which will cause harm to everyone who calls this country home, control every aspect of your life, from your bedroom to your womb, dismantle the federal government and our democracy as we know it, in contrast to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who are about your freedoms. Preserving your freedoms, expanding your freedoms, and about the future. So I think with this economic agenda they just rolled out, they show that they have not forgotten the plot. They see the people, and they want to mitigate the harm and the struggles of everyday people, but they also want to meet you at your aspiration. And that's the joy part. That is the joy part. Every great movement requires three things: imagination, strategy, and stamina. And I see all of that being animated in real time. And we are going to get her across that finish line and into the Oval Office.
I love it. Get it.
We absolutely love it. Congresswoman, we love you. We thank you so much for joining us. We know you got to keep running. And it looks like somebody has something to say. Another history maker has joined us.
I want y'all to know this is one of the baddest women serving in the United States House of Representatives. This is one of my favorites. She holds it down for her district, for the Commonwealth, for the nation. And it's an honor for me just to be able to serve with, get to know, and be friends with the great Ayanna Pressley.
I love it. Co-sign.
I am so grateful for your leadership. And thank you for being family.
Appreciate you, fam.
Your future speaker.
And shout out to Conan, too. That's my man. Shout out to Conan.
He back.
Oh, yeah.
And you know Boston loves Hakeem because he has some Cape Verdean roots.
There you go. There you go. Cabo Verde.
They said, come on back. Rose petals on the ground.
We love it. Well, I'm thrilled. First of all, Ayanna, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We know that your team has literally been like, she got 5 minutes, so we know you got to run. We thank you. And it's my honor, too, to be able, as Ayanna said, family. Hakeem Jeffries has been family from, I'd say, day zero.
That's right. You look bad.
Andrew, you're not on mute in the middle of my intro. Thank you. Hakeem Jeffries came in to see us when he was coming into Congress. And one of my favorite moments was, as a staff person, him just being like, okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to know? And because of his genuine intellectual curiosity, I was like, this dude is going to be speaker. And we are on the eve of that dream. And really knowing that will come to pass. I want to know, in the middle of your history-making journey now as Democratic leader in the House and where we are today, how does it feel?
Well, Angela, it's great to be with you. I could say here in Chicago, of course, this amazing team, here in Chicago, it's joyful, it's aspirational, it's unifying, it's electrifying. But we also know that there's a mission ahead of us over the next few months, and the other side can be diabolical. And so we're here to thank President Biden, of course, for his work. He's passed the torch to celebrate and elevate Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, but then to make sure that we're doing the work necessary so that they're successful in November, that we do take back the gavels in the United States House, and that we do what's necessary to hold the Senate.
Yes, it's so important.
It's going to be a lot of people who are going to lose their minds, Congressman, when we have a black woman president, a black House Speaker, black governors elected, more black mayors elected.
Yes.
And it really speaks to our ancestors built this country for free. That's a phrase I came up with myself originally.
She stole that from me, just so you know.
Angela says that all the time. And to finally see our work, the fruits of our labor come together at this moment. A lot of people, I don't think, necessarily understands the role of the Speaker of the House. Because that is a title that you are about to assume, because we speak things into existence on this podcast. What is the role of the House Speaker?
Well, I'll say that it's been an honor to stand on the shoulders of Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, and Jim Clyburn, who were legendary leaders. Of course, Nancy Pelosi, as the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, she'll go down in history, we believe, as the greatest Speaker of all time, along with, Steny, who did his thing, and of course, the great legendary Jim Clyburn. And they all collectively actually made the decision to pass the torch to the next generation of Democrats in the House last year. And as a result, Pete Aguilar, Catherine Clark, and myself now as House Democratic leader. The role of Speaker, of course, done incredibly well, by Nancy Pelosi, really is a constitutional officer in the House of Representatives who presides over the House, determines the agenda, makes sure that legislation moves through the House, actually can get out of the House and hopefully make it through the Senate and become law. And also, depending on which party the Speaker is a member of at that given point in time, is also responsible for making sure politically, things go right and that you're interacting with the other branches of government, particularly the President, the Vice President, as well as the Senate.
It's a crucial role. I just want to give a quick shout out before I toss it to Andrew. I know your wonderful, amazing, intellectual brother, Hassan Jeffries, Dr. Hassan Jeffries. I met Hassan, and when I met Hassan in the 90s, over 20 years ago, you were running for office then, so you have been a public servant your whole life.
This is like a family affair situation, right?
Yes,
Tiffany?
But I want to give a shout out to the men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated as well, because we were just talking about the importance of the fraternities in this work, and you are a member along with your brother.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I have marveled from afar down in Florida at the way you have been able to manage and keep a very vast, ideologically ranged caucus together. I mean, the fact that you all have held on some of the votes that have been put to the floor, that you have in many ways performed as the Speaker of the House in delivering very key legislation that could have otherwise been off the table or otherwise undermined.
More effective than the active one.
Absolutely more effective because he delivers. I just got to ask, a lot of folks around the country are nervous around the kinds of tactics that may be taken to either uncertify, not certify, put obstructions in the wheel in order to delay the Congress's ability to do what is your ceremonial but also constitutional responsibility to count the votes, the Electoral College votes, so on and so forth, and certify the presidency. Please tell us that there are scenario planning, there are stopgaps in the way, fail-safes, that can ensure that if we are out here encouraging people to go vote, they do their job, that when it comes to you all, that we can rely on some protection that this election will not be stolen, will not be undermined by the other side, but that people can have some relative reliability on our democracy.
Well, Andrew, great to see you. Thank you for your public service. And it is a very important question. I think the good news is, first of all, we got to make sure, for all the reasons that you articulated, all of the uncertainty, because whoever holds the gavels, whoever is in the majority on January 6th, which is the date set forth in the Constitution to certify the election, the new Congress is sworn in on January 3rd, meaning whoever is in the majority as a result of the November election will have the ability to decide whether to certify or not. And there's an open question if the Republicans continue to hold the majority because so many of their members are election deniers and have chosen simply to bend the knee to Donald Trump, who is already trying to lay the groundwork to claim falsely if he loses or when he loses that the election was stolen. So we got to take back the House. That's important. But we actually did act legislatively and passed a bill called the Electoral Reform Count Act in 2022 that did two important things. One, it made clear that the vice president's role is only ceremonial.
Important.
Now, the good news is, in this particular situation, of course, the vice president is Kamala Harris.
Right.
But for future elections, we've made it clear that no one can do what Donald Trump tried to do in bullying Mike Pence to unilaterally declare the election invalid and toss the electoral votes over to him. But perhaps the second, yet most important part of that legislation is it used to be the case that it only took one member out of all 435 to object to the election in the House and one member out of 100 to object in the Senate. That's all that was required. And then you can create this whole scenario where shenanigans and games can be played. And that's what was set in motion on January 6th of 2021.
Right.
We changed that, so now it requires at least 20% of the House and 20% of the Senate. So that means at least a little over 80 members have to object. Now, you know, on the other side of the aisle, you might be able to get to that number in the House. But we don't think you can get to that number in the Senate. Because there still are enough traditional Republicans who we don't believe will go along with Donald Trump's shenanigans to try to undermine the results. And so this is an example of legislation actually being advanced in response to a crisis that puts us in a much stronger position.
Well, the best fail-safe, y'all, if you didn't catch it at the beginning of the answer, is to put Democrats back in charge
of
the House of Representatives on the
Run
third.
that commercial.
That's real.
You know, the other thing that I think is really important about the role of the speaker, we talk about the Democratic Party being a big tent party all the time. So your job is not going to be very easy. You have people across the ideological spectrum. You know that and have experienced that as the Democratic leader as well. Talk about some of the things that you will have to do to get people on the same page and some of the big picture ideas you have in that role. I'm going to use as a personal example. He is my leader, too. And I texted him when I was like, when is everybody going to endorse Kamala? He knows it. And he was like, let me be leader for a day. I was like, bye.
Right. I'm sure that happened an hour after the change, right?
It was literally like, it was the same day. But I think that it's important because you're going to deal with people who are throwing tantrums. I'm one of them sometimes. And you're going to be dealing with folks who are like, I know the best way. Hakeem, follow me. How do you bring everybody together?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, I think, one, we've adopted a philosophy and an approach, and this is something that I learned from Jim Clyburn, that unity is different than unanimity.
Wow.
And the House Democratic Caucus represents the gorgeous mosaic of the American people. We're the closest institution to the American people by design. And on the House Democratic Caucus side, we have, incredible diversity across every possible measure. But that means with people who have different life experiences, different perspectives, different constituencies, they may take a different view on a given issue or two. But we're not expecting unanimity. We are, however, expecting unity, which means that we're united around these principles of fighting for justice, fighting for freedom, putting people over politics. And so we can have our family discussions, which we often do. Sometimes they're exuberant. We prefer them to be private, not public. But once we get through those family discussions, we find the highest common denominator, and this is what we've done throughout the entire Congress in order to get to the best possible result for the American people. Now, there will always be some folks who will say, well, you didn't go far enough. And our general view, learning from our civil rights legends, right, who went through a similar process as they were working through the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Act, that sometimes you just have to live to fight another day.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're all united in terms of where we want to go.
Yeah, not make the perfect the enemy of the good, which oftentimes, too often happens. The speaker to be, we know that your time is extremely valuable. I just got to throw you some crazy love over his oratory.
Yes.
I mean, I've been moved on occasion where this stuff should be for process.
Yes.
And Hakeem the congressman gets up and begins to speak, and he evokes history, and he evokes emotion, and he connects and weaves together such an incredibly diverse set of experiences of the American people to bring all of us into investment.
Yeah.
And whatever it is that they're attempting to do, it is a power, yes, but more than anything, it is a blessing. And I'm so glad that you've been imbued with it, because I think it's an essential part of what allows you to be the kind of successful speaker that I think you've already shown yourself to be.
You might hear a little hip hop every now and then.
You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it.
I just want my quick favorite quote from the congressman is during the impeachment hearings, and a Republican member said, "I just don't know why we're here." And a congressman stood up and answered him and listed innumerable reasons why we were here, and laid out a beautifully argued case. And at the end, he said, "So if you don't know, now you know."
We won't say the rest. He didn't say that part.
I didn't say that part either. I said,
I had to do a hard stop.
Brooklyn is always in the house, and we love it. Literally in the house.
We love you on this podcast. We are championing
Well, congratulations. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Podcast. Congratulations on all the success, and Angela and Tiffany, Andrew, appreciate y'all. Y'all are family.
We love you.
And look forward to staying in close touch.
We love you, Mr. Speaker.
Come on.
And I'll let you be leader for a day, but tomorrow you got to be Mr. Speaker.
All right.
There it is. There it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We love you. Thanks,
Thank you.
I
that
love
was
it.
fantastic. I love it, love it, love it.
I'm so proud of Hakeem. I mean,
Yes.
I heard him first in Florida when he came down and did some organizing work throughout the race and so on and so forth. But his leadership is incredible.
Thank you.
And we're now saying goodbye. If you're on the feed, we're just saying goodbye.
We definitely gonna say our goodbyes. We definitely gonna do that.
That is interesting how we make sure we hug.
We gotta
embrace. Can I just
It's
say
real love.
really quickly? The California roll call happened while we had Mr. Speaker on.
Yes.
Which is symbolic because, of course, this is Vice President Harris's home state, where she has won more elections than Donald Trump. So it's an honor to see that history unfold.
And this suit is fly, child.
Yes, and her suit is amazing.
She looks great.
Angela's going to bring in Ted,
our next guest.
Yes, Angela, welcome.
Our dear friend,
Ted
James, has joined us. Ted James has been a state rep in Louisiana. He has worked for the Small Business Administration in this administration. He is running for mayor in Baton Rouge.
Baton.
And he is, he's a dear friend of ours.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to say about Ted is when the people need something done, they do one thing, and it's 2 words. Call Ted.
Yeah.
That is what
and
they
your
do.
frat brother just left the set as well.
I love it.
You didn't have to throw it out to the Kappas. They don't need any introduction.
She giving too much love.
They need no introduction.
She giving too much love.
We've been talking about the D9, and the comments are all shouting you out. So
let me tell you something. It was such an honor to walk up and see my 3 dear friends.
Yes.
And thank you all for always elevating our voices. And I'm honored to be here, but to see the next Speaker of the House, a good Kappa man, was also heartwarming.
Yeah, I bet. Ted, you've been at the legislative level, making moves. Your reputation is far outside of the state of Louisiana, outside of Baton Rouge, but we know that community has shaped the person that you are, the wonderful public servant. And I know we've got listeners and viewers down there. Y'all show Ted some great love. You're going from the legislature now back to the local. Now I'm welcoming you because I'm a man of the local level, right? As a former mayor. Tell us what has animated your desire to make your way from the state level of governing on behalf of your community to now being mayor.
Andrew, I'll tell you, it's the opportunity in the administration to travel across the country, and I watched other mayors do what I watched you do. raise the quality of life through investing in small businesses there. Baton Rouge is very similar to Tallahassee in that the two major universities, one, Southern University, how to amplify that HBCU culture through making sure that those young people have entrepreneurship opportunities where they decide to stay in Baton Rouge and not leave for opportunities other places.
I love that. I love that. And so tell us, what's the shake? For those who don't know, give us the lay of the land. When's the primary? When's the general? What's the deal?
So Louisiana, we have open primaries. We call them jungle primaries. So we are all running on November 5th, and the top two vote getters will go December 7th, unless one of us receive 50% of the vote plus one. I'm working to receive 50% plus one, but if not, we go to a runoff in December.
So I didn't realize y'all go beyond the November election. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
A lot of people, we think you're a superstar. Some of our audience are not familiar with you. If somebody does not live in Baton Rouge, I'm curious your thoughts on why they matter. But before you answer that, I see you all saw Angela leave set. She went and grabbed us another member of Congress. We are joined now by Congressman Gregory Meeks out of New York. He serves on the Foreign Relations Committee. And Angela,
Democratic
in
leader.
her capacity as a former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus, worked very closely with Congressman Gregory Meeks. So it's wonderful to be joined by you.
He's also the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. He walked by yesterday. I was like, today we're snatching him. I'm probably going to get in trouble with the chief of staff, but I was like, I need him for 3 minutes. I just wanted Mr. Meeks in the middle of Ted talking about the importance of electoral politics, running for office himself. Mr. Meeks, you fight every day to ensure that our numbers increase. We are a strong 60 now. CBC members, I want you to talk about why it's so important to invest in entities like the Congressional Black Caucus PAC. Shameless plug, I sit on the board, so I had to go get my chair.
Look, what we're talking about is having real power in America. What we're talking about is making a game change, and this is why this is a historic moment. You talk about 60. Now, what happens with that 60, we're going to have at least 5 members. When we take back the majority in the House, we're going to have 5 members of the CBC that will be chairs of full committees. You look at people like Benny Thompson from Mississippi being chair of Homeland Security. We talk about education, and we want to make sure that we got real history. Bobby Scott from Virginia will be chair of Education and Labor. We talk about how black farmers have been robbed and not had justice. David Scott from Georgia will be chair of the Agriculture Committee. We talk about financial services, which is really important. You talk about all the finance in the world. Sister Maxine, Auntie Maxine will be chair of the Financial Services Committee. And your little brother here, I will be chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
We know.
And over 31 members of the CBC will be chairs of major subcommittees. So we're talking about investing in the CBC. We're talking about setting the policies for the United States of America and getting justice for many people across. You know, if we're talking about voting rights, if we're talking about criminal justice reform, if we're talking about creating wealth and reducing the wealth gap, that's what this is all about, and making this, a statement that then turns into reality. Now, to me, this is Dr. King's dream. It's a good time to be alive today. Right now, when you look at the fact, I can tell you, at my age, many individuals did not think that we would see another person of color being president. So one thing that I will say that Don DeCon was right about, when I see Barack Obama and now I see Kamala Harris, I know where a black job is. It's president of the United States of America. It's a black job. And that's what this is really all about. It's about real power and making a difference.
Black jobs do not happen without BlackPac, so I just wanted to get you on here for a shout-out. So thank you.
Wait, does he have to run right now? I want to ask one quick question.
Sorry,
well, Congressman, we're going to send you another member from Baton Rouge in Cleo Field.
Yes, sir.
You get another one.
To get him back.
That's right. That's right.
Him and Kwaisi, they bring a lot of history with them, and they're bringing them back.
That's right.
Congressman, I want to ask one quick question. We had your colleague, Congressman Benny Thompson, on yesterday, the ranking member on Homeland Security, and he spoke about how oftentimes foreign policy issues are not the top of the list of priorities for people, especially in our community, who are juggling so much, from how to pay the mortgage to keeping their kids safe to, sending kids to school. And I'm just curious, because you serve on the Foreign Relations Committee, it is crucial, a crucial committee, because what happens overseas very much impacts what happens here from a budget standpoint to policy. What would you say going into this new cycle, this election cycle, is the chief issue when it comes to foreign policy?
Well, there's a number of them. First and foremost, when you talk about the situation that's happening, whether it's the Middle East, is really important that we deal with that, to deal with what we're talking about with challenges with China. But I tell you what we don't talk about enough that should be on the front burner. What's happening in Sudan, where you have more people dying every day, and it's not anyone is talking about it. And so when I become the chair again, that becomes on the front burner. To talk about what's happening in Haiti is, something that's really important that look like us, that makes a difference. When you look even at what's going on, where there's more black people than any place else in the world other than the continent of Africa, is Brazil, and how they are affected with reference to dealing with the issues in Venezuela. And then you talk that deals with this migrant crisis that you're talking about. So we've got to deal with those issues. Those issues are on the front burner. And it's all interconnected, because when you have the war like in Ukraine, a lot of people don't understand what happens there is when you talk about food and food shortages. Well, the Black Sea, because of that war, is blocking some of the passage, which brings up the price of food and thereby causes inflation. It's all interconnected, because the world now is much smaller than it used to be, and we are living with a global economy. We're talking about the fact that each, when you talk about food chains, which gets it, if they're shut down, it affects us. You talk about energy. That's a global issue of which we got to deal and trade with individuals for. The cost of gas.
Foreign policy becomes kitchen table
that
issues.
is, some people look at it as just something that's far away, but it is domestic, because it affects us domestically each and every day. And that's why you got to consider looking at foreign policy. And it's easy and it's harder to talk about diplomacy as opposed to going to war. And what we try to do is to try to make sure that we're talking about doing things in a diplomatic way, because then it is cheaper than having to go to war that costs the American people and everyone a lot more dollars.
Mr. Chairman, that's why you are on foreign relations. That's why you about to be the chair again. It's because that was one of the most accessible explanations I've heard as to why, when folks say, all I see is all our money going overseas, someplace else. And that's what they summarize foreign policy to be. But when you talk about gas prices, you talk about the price of cereal because wheat can't be accessed. Or you talk about blockades that then raise the cost because of the shortages, low supply, high demand, higher price.
Inflation.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
So these are I hope that we continue to talk about it in that way, because folks, largely in our community, when you have need yourself, it's very hard to then see what are your tax dollars being used to fill another need, when in fact what looks obvious may not be so obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we learned from the pandemic. If somebody is sick someplace else in the world, they come here. It's important to make sure that we are working with others so that it keeps us safe and healthy, because they are safe and healthy. So all of that is interconnected, and that's why we've got to make sure that we stay involved and understand what's taking place in a foreign affairs situation, what we do in our committee.
We wish you well, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
We wish you well.
They said I've been giving too much D9 love, but I just want to shout out Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Baby.
Well, Roland shouted him out. That'll last the rest of the week.
Well, we are so grateful to Ted James and Congressman Congressman Chair for being here. We love y'all. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate being with you all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And while the Congressman is making transition, I'm going to welcome up another mayor to talk to. Ted, I hope you're staying.
No, I think Ted has to
Ted's got to run.
Yeah.
Melvin Carter.
Oh, we're welcoming Melvin Carter to the stage.
Yes, and we have to be brief because
we got a long.
I don't know what just happened. I'm sorry.
Stay tuned at home because we have a long line of guests. So
Angela, we have Adrianne waiting as well.
So we got to be.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
He might want to come on this side.
Yeah.
Get over there
Angela
next to Angela.
Over there.
Hi, Melvin.
So y'all, we're just inviting in. We're just inviting in the mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota. He is the first African-American ever to be elected to that position.
A lot of firsts.
A lot of firsts. And he's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. I'll just mention that, the Beta Nu chapter at Florida A&M University, which also suggests to me that he is a rattler, y'all. So, Melvin, put those earphones on.
He's on.
I got him on. All right. So I know your time is limited.
Yeah,
you just missed that.
Now. He got to be quick.
Yeah.
That's right.
You missed that incredible introduction that I just gave of you.
Is that right?
Yes, right before Adrianne Shropshire.
Well, I appreciate it.
And so we just want you to tell a little bit of the people what you're working on over there in Minnesota, man.
Hey,
we hear with your governor leaving that there may be something coming up.
Is that right?
My lieutenant governor is about to be my governor.
I understand.
Once we win this.
I understand. She going to need an LT, too.
He always starting trouble. I even got on here good.
No, I'm not on your side. Andrew, I'm on your side.
Thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
That's right. That's right. It's good to see y'all, man. I appreciate it. We just trying to do our best in Minnesota. You know, one of the things, and you know this really well, as somebody who served as mayor, we've learned a model of like city building that centers around stuff. It's buildings, it's streets and stuff like that. In St. Paul, when my dad was growing up, they bulldozed 700 people's homes to lay a street. Because that's how our values were. So our goal is just to say, when we say we believe in people, we're just going to go all in on betting on our folks, whether that's piloting guaranteed income, whether that's starting $50 to start a college savings account for every child born in our city, whether that's raising the minimum wage, giving people up to $110,000 in forgivable financing to purchase a home or renovate an existing home. We're just going all in on our folks.
Y'all, he said a lot right there because he's a man who understands what time restraints mean. But guaranteed minimum income, piloting that program in his city, right? That's a huge deal for a lot of people all across America, and the brother's being innovative with that, all of his own. I got to say, we're also joined by another incredible human. I'm going to let you, you're doing the intro.
Adrianne Shropshire is the executive director of BlackPac. We are so honored, Adrianne, to be partnered with you. We are looking forward to working with you beyond this convention for the next 77 days. And if it needs to be 77 years, we are in this fight with you. So we are so grateful for everything you're doing. You are killing it. You've been killing it. I just got a shout out. She from the West Coast. She from the West Coast. It's the 206.
206, baby, 206.
Day. Look at Andrew's
Is that
face.
Seattle?
Don't do me.
Seattle?
Don't do me. I will mute your mic, Andrew. Don't do me. You know there was just a roll call on the floor of unity. We're not doing that right now. We're not doing that right now.
I get it.
But Adrianne, can you please tell our listeners, because I think it's so important, Congressman Meeks was just here talking about the role of the Congressional Black Caucus PAC, talking about how important it is to now have those 60 seats, the 30-plus members who will be chairs of subcommittees should the Democrats take over the House in the fall. And so I would love for you to talk about the important work that BlackPac is doing and how folks listening and watching at home can get involved.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that you said that is so important is we have 77 days.
Yes, ma'am.
And we got a lot of people to talk to.
Okay.
So when we think about, you know, whether it is knocking on doors, which we're doing in the battleground states across the country, having conversations, which we've been doing for months. And, you know, we had the little change at the top of the ticket, and suddenly it is
Not
like the
little
sky.
change.
That's right. The little big change. That's right. The little big change.
The sky's kind of opened up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that you see, like, the excitement is real, the energy is real among, like, across our elders, our younger people. But the job is not done. We still have a single job, and we still need to reach a lot of people. So there are a lot of folks who don't understand who the vice president is. They want to understand her record. You still have a lot of people who are saying, I might vote third party, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to stay. So you still have the folks who are saying, I might stay home. And so we have to reach all of those people. And we have this truncated timeline, and we talk about 77 days, but we know that the ballots go out in North Carolina on September 6th. And then they go out in Pennsylvania. And so people will have ballots in their hands. And they will be voting. And we need to get the information to it. So our job, and all of our job, but certainly BlackPac's job, is to make sure we're delivering the information, whether it's on the doors, whether it's in businesses and communities, whether it's on the radio and delivering the message, whether it's digitally, whether it's mail, whatever, is to make sure that we are talking to people, making sure that they understand the stakes, because people do understand the stakes. They know that it's democracy or dictatorship. People get all of that, right? They also feel right now, and this is the great part, is that there's history at stake right now as well. And people are ready to make history. country. And so I think that, we need to keep people motivated. We need to ride this wave coming out of the convention, but we also need to do the work that needs to be done, the hard work, to make sure that people turn out. Motivation is not a vote.
It is not.
There it is.
So we need to make sure that people who are motivated find themselves to the ballot box. And then obviously we need to make sure that the votes are counted and that the election is certified.
I love that.
Adrianne, outside of an election cycle, because some people, it's like with the Congressional Black Caucus, for example. Some people think it's a legislative body that's there to solve or address issues related to Black people, and it's a bit more complex than that. So outside of an election year, what exactly is the role of BlackPac? What's the significance? And is there a call to action? Is there a way for our audience to support, uplift, get involved in a tangible way?
Well, so the reality is that there is never outside an election cycle. Right, so every year there is an election, and so we talk. I mean, we get excited about the presidential, and we should. Yeah. But there's down ballot races this cycle as well that people need to pay attention to. Their congressional races, their state races. But we know that every year is an election, and whether it is your city council, or it is your mayor, or it is your school board, there is something that people should be paying. There was someone about to make a decision about your life, and so we ask people to stay engaged. We try and make sure that people stay engaged in all the elections across. After the big ones, but we also want to make sure that people are engaged in the legislative fights, because sometimes we elect our friends to office and then we just leave them on their own.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and
real.
we don't stay there to support them and say, well, here, we're going to help you. We're going to push you when we need to push you, right? And we're going to show up for you when you need us to show up for you. So we want to make sure people stay engaged in the legislative advocacy. People can we are recruiting volunteers right now in a big way, obviously, for people to do both virtual volunteer work and also to do the volunteer work in their local community. So if folks want to get involved, they can go to our website, blackpac.com, and sign up to volunteer.
That's amazing.
Melvin, before you jump off the stage, because I know they get pulled every direction, you have a unique perspective to offer to the listeners, which is you are a mayor in the state where the next vice president of the United States is coming from as governor. What should we know about Tim Walz that we don't know?
First of all, you should know I am the mayor of the city that our next vice president lives in. Let's be clear.
Well done.
That's right. So,
well done.
Listen, the governor and I have worked really closely together over the past 4 or 5 years or so. It's no secret that Minnesota, as has the rest of the world, been through a whole lot. And let me tell you, he's just been a consistent person. What you see is what you get, whether he's on the stage at a rally or whether he's, in the neighborhood, talking to folks on the block. Just an incredible person who connects with people individually, who does the tough right thing when it's time to have a tough conversation. He's somebody I believe in wholeheartedly, and I'm excited to see him as our vice president.
I love that. Well, we can't wait to see what happens next for you as well, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
I appreciate
Mayor.
that.
You've
I
been
appreciate
joined
that.
by
Finally, Terrence, you're going to use this mic. Terrence Woodbury,
What's up,
who's introducing, who runs Hit Strategies, a polling firm. And we reference your work constantly on Native Land Pod and the amazing work that you're doing. You're also doing polling work for this campaign for President-elect, we call her, Kamala Harris. So thank you for joining us. And thank you, we welcome you officially, thank you, Adrianne, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining us.
Adrianne's not leaving us yet.
Adrianne's staying with us. But
I'm trying to find somebody to take a picture for me. So I can
we got this.
tell my kids I was here.
We got this.
All right, we got it.
He just was trying to get his picture.
She's going to get this. She's going to do it.
Okay.
She got it for me. I appreciate y'all.
But in the meantime, sorry, I'm learning to mute these. I didn't want you to hop off, Adrianne. I was looking most forward to this part of the conversation where Terrence is present and you are, in part because I feel like we got our collective start together.
Yes.
Like in real life.
In real life.
That's right.
Before Terrence was doing work on Andrew's campaign, I really got to know Terrence when he was working with Cornell Belcher at Brilliant Corners, and we all worked together with SEIU doing some of this same kind of work. Terrence, since then, you've done some incredible work, and even with Adrianne. I would love for you all to talk about the importance of that work, the importance of that synergy. And even if y'all ain't contracted right now, because you can't, you with the official now. He big time, Adrianne. He big time. Can you talk about the importance of laying that groundwork?
Absolutely. Look, me and Adrianne have been on this journey for a long time, Adrianne. You remember we were actually focus grouping the name BlackPac. Right?
I remember that. I had already decided that the name was BlackPac.
But I do remember that too.
She said it was going to be what it's going to be.
I think in fact we had I remember one respondent in the focus group said to us when we were talking about putting together a black agenda and what it takes to put together a black agenda, and I said, well, tell me how you like it. They said, well, I mean, I just want my agenda all black. I like it like my coffee. He said, can we just call it the coffee party?
I loved that.
So here we are, you know, and since then we have kept our finger on the pulse of black voters. You know, we've done over 70 focus groups this year. We've conducted over 24 polls, and one thing that I was picking up early, even in the research we were doing with BlackPac, was the role that perception of power plays in how black voters perceive themselves. Look, pollsters often use a proxy like motivation or enthusiasm to determine who's actually going to vote, right? Well, one thing we've learned in these focus groups is that not all black folks are voting enthusiastically, right? I had a young man tell me in a Philadelphia focus group that voting for him is like taking out the trash. You don't always want to do it, but if you don't do it, then shit starts to stink around here. You know what I mean? You know?
That's really good.
That young man, he don't sound like he's going to vote enthusiastically, but he's going to take the trash out on election day.
I love that.
And so we've been measuring perceptions of power, and here's what that looks like. We ask this question on every poll that Hit Strategies does. Regardless of how often you vote, how much power does your vote have to make a difference in your community? The higher they rate those perceptions of power, the more likely they are to vote. And what we are seeing right now in the last 4 weeks is a level of power, of collective power, that is being expressed, is being demonstrated, and I do expect that to drive us to Election Day.
I love that.
I'm curious because, you know, I on this show often say the polls do not matter. I think they matter to campaigns. I don't think it's a healthy exercise to constantly berate the public with polls. You know, it matters most to the candidate. I also think it's how you interpret the information from the polls. What week did you ask this question? What was the specific question asked? What did the focus group look like? Was there a black person posing these questions to a room full of white people?
That's very important.
Right. There sometimes our communicating with our communities looks very different. For people who are suspicious about the polls, who don't believe the polls, what would you say to naysayers like me and I would imagine a lot of people out there?
Look, first, I think what Tiffany means when she says that polling doesn't matter. I don't want to mansplain Tiffany at all.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that, brother.
I think what Tiffany means is that polls can't tell you who's going to win today. And that is true. Polls right now are not predictive of who the winner of this is. Just because someone's up 2 points today or down 2 points tomorrow, that ain't predict. Hello, listen. And so what we are doing at His Strategies is maintaining, keeping our finger on the pulse, following that trend line, understanding what people are hearing, what's resonating and what's not. We started His Strategies to correct the record on what is being misrepresented and underrepresented in our polling, and far too often that's black folks.
Yeah. So, Terrence, can I just jump in?
Please, go.
So I think we should talk about sample size in these polls, right? And so I think that polls are instructive, right? They help us understand what we need to do. They point out the problems that we have and how we can address them. But we know that some of the larger polls just have small sample sizes of black voters, right? And then draw conclusions about what broadly black voters think from a really tiny set of folks. And I think that that's part of the things that one of the things that people need to understand is that polls are interesting. No one should be following the polls like they're being asked to follow the polls right now because they're actually not helpful.
That's right. So I do want to tell you one thing that we're seeing in the polls right now because regardless of the sample size, there are some trends that are undeniable, right? And what we have seen in the last 4 weeks is the ability of Kamala Harris to consolidate the Democratic coalition more quickly than I ever imagined possible. She's doing 12 points better with women voters, 15 points better with young voters, and 22 points better with black voters. 22 points in 4 weeks. We still have work to do. I'm not ready to call her president-elect yet because we got work to do.
It's divine.
We got work to do.
We do have work.
The trend line is going in the right way, and a lot of that is being powered by black voters.
Speaking of work, one of our favorite political worker bees, public servants extraordinaire, the only elected official to ever submit a comment to Native Land Pod, is Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, our good friend from Michigan.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
What's up, though, y'all? Happy to be here with you. It's such an honor and a privilege. And I was on my phone talking to y'all, and now we here at the DNC talking to y'all. It's great.
Started from the phone, now we here.
No doubt.
Yes, we're so thankful because Angela, we didn't know that you were going to come on. And Angela said, I have a surprise guest coming on, and we saw you. We were thrilled to have you. This is so exciting. I want to ask because I remember when Big Gretch, as we call her affectionately, who I believe we will see tomorrow.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
So Governor Gretchen Whitmer out of Michigan will be joining us tomorrow. But I remember covering your campaign from a distance. Seeing you're the first Black Lieutenant Governor?
That's right. That's right.
So all these historic candidates who have ascended to power at this time, and we've been consistently asking people, as another historic candidate, what does this moment mean to you to be serving in government when the country is poised to be led by a Black woman?
It is incredibly inspiring. Look, Kamala Harris, she has made history in every single victory that she has. And I think what that's a demonstration of is she's never won alone. She has always thought about how to create more space and opportunity to kick these doors down so more of us can walk through them. And all of us who are in elected service, we should have that same kind of energy. And so for me, I don't want to be amazing. I don't want to be singular. I want to be the door opener. I want to be the person who inspires the next person to go even farther, who's even hungrier and more ambitious. Just like Tupac said, right? You ain't got to be scared about me. You got to worry about the one coming after me.
Right.
They're not going to ask no questions, right?
Yeah.
I think the same kind of thing needs to be the kind of just spirit that we bring to this service, that, you know, we can make things happen, that when we organize and we work together, we can bring everybody into the conversation, everybody to the table, everybody to the room. And when we include more people in decision making, we make better choices.
I love that.
Love that.
Lieutenant Governor, when you are, we all heard early on in y'all's administration the whole plot to, I guess, kidnap the governor and all this kind of insane stuff that's happening in the state of Michigan. I'm curious to know, as a brother, as you go out to various parts of the state, I'm assuming showing up in places where you're not expected, but you remind them that you're the governor for the entire state.
That's right.
Not just for a portion of the state. How are you received? How do you find yourself being able to talk to folks who not are just ideologically different, but as people may reject your very being?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? What is that like? And how do you, if it's possible to bridge, how do you go about bridging?
So, yeah, unfortunately, I have experienced the same level of death threat to me, to my family. Look, we had the pregame for January 6th on April 30th of 2020 in the state of Michigan. In the weeks after that, there were men with long guns that lined the sidewalks that walked up to the Capitol, where I had to go to preside over the state Senate. I'm walking through there like it's the starting lineup, you know what I'm saying, at a basketball game. We walk through and everybody's on the side. So unfortunately, I've had to deal with that, suspicious packages under my vehicles, these kinds of things, that mailer sent to my home, my parents' home being swatted last week. Like, these kinds of things happen. But to answer your question, Andrew, when I go to places like Escanaba, Michigan, which is in the western part of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I was there this past Thursday for the UP State Fair to talk to farmers about why they need to have access to a dream of health and wealth, just like everybody else in Michigan needs to have access to that dream. They say thank you because they don't expect a 6'8" dark-skinned brother from Detroit to be up there asking them questions about rabbits and ducks.
Yeah.
And chickens. But I also go to the Upper Peninsula more than any state elected official has gone to the Upper Peninsula in 20 years. I'm up there 4 times a year for multiple days. That's because I think all of us need to understand that we are all in this together. I think that's the biggest difference, frankly, between us and our opponents, that their vision for the future is so small that it can't include all of us. It can't include black folks. It can't include women. It can't include young people. It can't include elders. It can't include the LGBTQ plus community. And so by showing up, you show people that you respect them enough to serve them. And I think you got to respect people to serve them.
I love that.
I just want to say people are shouting you out. All the people joining us, thank you all for watching at home. But they're saying they love Garland Gilchrist, but they're saying he might be in Michigan, but he has Bullitt County, Alabama roots. Can you confirm or deny those words?
That's right. No doubt about it. Look.
Go ahead and rip your set.
Yeah, my mother's people are from Union Springs, Alabama. I spent about a month every summer as a kid playing in the red dirt down there in Alabama. And so that's all good. That's all good.
They know. Our YouTube fans told us
Your
that.
people know.
I love it. Well, we are so grateful to all of you. Like, not just we started the show with LaTosha Brown talking about building Black power.
Yeah.
It is so poetic and so necessary and divine that we're talking about that at the close of our show. Adrianne Shropshire with BlackPac. Y'all visit blackpac.com. Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist and our friend Terrence Woodbury from
The
Hit
poll
Strategy.
man.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
The poll guy that gets it right every time. The coffee party, the black party, all the things. We love it. But yes, we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. We can't wait to celebrate with y'all this week.
Here, here.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you.
Happy
so
history
much.
makers.
Welcome home, baby.
Welcome
Let's
home,
bring it home,
y'all.
Andrew.
Bring it home, man.
We'll see
Bring
y'all
it home. All the way.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, indeed. We'll see
Man, I gotta tell y'all, Angela, Tiff, what a incredible set of guests
Should Angela
today.
come over here? I feel like she's.
yeah.
I can.
Yeah, why don't you put that all down and get over here?
I'm gonna come over.
Adrianne,
I'm gonna,
love you.
you want me to use
Thank
that
you,
jerry-rigged mic
by the
that
way.
Terrence had?
I
Terrence,
know.
we
Okay,
got
here
you.
it comes.
I know.
LG, we got a text. I gotta see you, man. All right, this brother.
Thank you.
Impressive. I just gotta say, this was my first time hearing the lieutenant governor in long form
He
interview.
wanted me to come over here so he could mute my
Come,
mic.
come sit
We're
with
gonna
us.
do a
we're
quick
taking a
selfie.
Little picture, Deanna. There it is.
Why did it sound like we were saying A minor?
Hey.
I thought the same
I'm standing
thing.
up. I don't,
You don't want to.
Yeah, you.
You know,
talking
I'm
about
not gonna
wanna
make my comment.
Yes.
Just sit down somewhere. Sit
You'll
down.
be covered
It is
by the
showing.
table. You'll be
Okay,
covered by the
okay,
table.
all right.
But this was my
Angela
first
wearing
time,
a skirt
y'all.
with a high split, y'all.
Yeah, she don't want to show
legs out, too.
everybody, everything. But in real time, y'all,
Need a
this
prayer
was my
call.
first time with Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Hearing him in long form interview, an
I
impressive,
rock with him real heavy.
impressive brother.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to see what the future holds because, you know, Big Gretch she bad. And I see that there may be some political winds that may shift.
Yeah.
Because we need our best talent on the field, from
Yeah.
the cabinet to governors to who's in the Senate and the House. And I will predict all of us will need to keep our eyes out on the lieutenant governor to see what
I'm so
what
happy
happens.
you asked him about the kidnapping plot. I do want to say we're speaking before we hear from the Obamas. I don't
Yes.
believe Michelle.
Nope.
Right.
They're not on yet.
Okay.
Much later.
Governor of
I know
Illinois
it's
is
challenging because
speaking
some
right
of you
now.
all may be watching this tomorrow. So forgive us if you're watching this tomorrow. But what significance do the Obamas still play on a national political stage at this point? Yeah, Angela, you should answer
significance.
because you ruffled some feathers with your comments
I
on
did
Obama.
ruffle some feathers, and I don't regret it. I think, tonight is a remarkable opportunity as we are in Chicago, which is where Michelle Obama and Barack Obama have long made their home. This is where history was made for him.
Yep.
And I think today could be a turning point that I would have liked to see a lot sooner.
Yeah.
But I cannot wait for Michelle Obama's speech. I
Yes.
cannot
Oh, yeah.
wait for Barack Obama's
Yeah.
speech, because what I do know is they have the power of the spoken and written word on their side, and they have the opportunity to continue passing the torch, right? We know last night on the floor, Joe Biden didn't really use the opportunity to pass the torch to Kamala Harris in the way that I thought. I felt like last
Really?
night's
Really?
speech. No, I was surprised. I didn't get to say this to y'all earlier because we had to run. But I actually thought that last night was State of the Union Part 2. Like, y'all gonna kick me off the ballot, y'all gonna catch all these accomplishments, bitch. Now, he did a great job.
He included her, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I'm sorry.
he did a great job.
Sorry,
of
I'm
saying,
feeling
No,
Biden
you're
sensitive.
reclaiming my time. You always are,
I'm
Chad.
feeling Biden
But I was
sensitive.
gonna say, to me, he did a great job of saying, and when they said thank you, Joe, he was like, and thank Kamala too.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about the expectation I had was that he was going to tell them everything he knew about Kamala Harris. He was going to tell them about all the things that was in her portfolio where she shined and focus on those accomplishments. I'm not faulting him. I understand why he did what he did. But tonight, Barack Obama, after being our actual first black president of the United States, has the opportunity to show Kamala Harris and her support base what it takes and why he will be someone who should roll up his sleeves and get his ass to a rally, like I said. And this could be the first one. I want this to be the test case and for him to show me, prove to me I was wrong, Barack Obama. Prove to me that call ad that y'all did was, you know, just because the schedule didn't work. Prove to me tonight, friend.
After 50 years in service in government, I do think that President Biden earned his time to say, this is what I've done. I think he earned his time. Like, I don't think it was his job in that moment to talk about her. I think other people have been doing that in their speeches. I think she will have to do that and make her case before the American people. And I would love to hear from her to talk about, you know, her accomplishments and, you know, let the American people know what she's done. I'm also curious, because I'm like you, Angela, I want to hear from Forever Flotus, Michelle Obama.
Love her.
Was it 4 years ago when she told us when they go?
Yeah.
That may have been longer
That
than
was
4 years
during
ago.
Hillary's
2016. It was 2016.
Yeah.
When they go low, we go high. And I do wonder, 8 years later,
Does
where
she stand
she
by
stands
it?
on that messaging. Yes, because
I don't think she'll reform it tonight, but
I wouldn't be mad if she did.
I wouldn't be mad if she did it. It
I mean,
is
they
deserving
are
of
declaring war
update.
with black women, and
Yeah.
you know, my warning call and battle cry to my sisters is you do not ever want to be on the wrong side of black women. And I think people look to her specifically for messaging sometimes. More often than not, we wanted to hear from her before we did 44.
I do, and I'll tell you why. Because I think she comes off as 1,000% sincere in every word that crosses her lips. Whether it is true or not, it's the feeling that I get. The other thing from the video that they did, the endorsement video, she said, I just got to say to my sister, which was Coke.
Yes,
we know what that
we
means.
Understood
Yeah, we understand.
the pivot and the conversation that took place. He's like, girl, if I could tell you direct, I'm proud of you. I think she's going to bring that level. I think she's going to bring that level of lived experience of what it means to be an accomplished lawyer, black woman, who's just at the top of your game, almost seemingly without even trying, right?
Yeah.
But I know it's with a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of preparation, right? I don't want to dismiss what it requires to be at the level that they are at. But there is so much more that they share in common than what I think divides their experience. And I think that's what we're going to see a full throttle lay into, which is every word I think is going to be buttressed and supported by that shared experience from women who grew up on different sides of the country, who different, you know, parents, different upbringing, different background, but as professional black women in America, what it has meant to be to get to the top of your game when everybody is clawing for you.
You know, the other thing is tonight, we talked about the Obama speaking tonight, but there's also another really important speech. And I think this is it adds to the point you were making that there are other folks who also need to make the case for Kamala Harris. There's one particular person who has been a powerful surrogate for her, who has corrected people on the pronunciation of her name, and he reminded the American people that if you can't pronounce it, don't worry, because after November, you can call her Madam Vice President. Madam President.
Madam President.
She's Madam Vice President now. But the person who said you can just call her Madam President is none other than her husband, Doug Emhoff, who will also be taking the stage tonight.
And I don't think we've heard enough from him, right? I think people are still
you've heard enough?
Haven't heard enough.
Yeah,
they see him by her side, but the man's got his own lived experience.
He is powerful in and of
Absolutely.
himself, a wonderful, brilliant political strategist, a brilliant lawyer. I think that he is going to be powerful tonight, and I think he might end up being a secret weapon and somebody that people slept on. I really do.
I look
Can
forward
I
to
ask
it.
you guys? I want to point out that Ken Chenault is speaking right now, and I don't.
The former CEO of American Express, one of the few black ones we had of a Fortune 500 company.
And I don't quite know why he's speaking. We can't hear him. We can only see him on screen. But you and I talked about the fact that he would be taking the podium tonight. But my point in saying that is you can catch him later in the clips, because right now we're speaking, and just stay tuned to Native Land Pod. And y'all ain't missing nothing major yet. No disrespect to Ken Chenault. But you were making a point about Doug Emhoff, and I want to ask you guys: do you think that black men can receive Doug Emhoff? Because the first time Vice President, then Senator Harris ran, there were people. Blah, blah. Anyway, I see.
even if they don't, I believe that they receive. I believe that black men receive her.
I am so
enough.
confused.
You know how sometimes
Who
in
is
your
it?
Y'all, we gonna be here.
Okay.
Try nothing. She's a Floridian. Let's move on.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I think anyway, you know what? Listen, we believe.
Okay.
I
Eaddy,
believe.
I'm sorry,
we can
Andrew.
all evolve.
No, we cannot.
Yeah, we can evolve.
Okay, let's get to that.
Anyway.
Can we,
This
that's
ain't a
the
Katie
question.
moment either.
Some people.
Okay, but can I just ask the audience? Can we evolve?
We can evolve.
We can't evolve.
Okay,
But
We
when
can't
we
be
just come back
enemies
turncoat?
with
Can I
everybody.
give that turncoat? I mean, I
forever.
forgive people from the standpoint of Andrew is so trying to make
I
a
want to
point.
hear Angela's point.
No,
And then
I don't want to go down this point.
Okay, can I just make?
I want to hear what you guys say about this. We coming back.
I can stay away from me.
Brother, I love you, but just know that this is payback from that Fox News interview that you did.
Go to
earlier.
hell.
Thank you.
Go to hell.
Thank you.
Oh, this is gonna be a
Katie moment. Andrew,
Yeesh.
I just want to say I'm sorry. I forgive people, and I can love you from a distance, and you're welcome to vote on this ticket. But one thing I will never forget is when I was at the National Action Network conference, and her ass got up there and said that at the name of Donald Trump, every knee shall bow.
Ooh.
So I'm glad that somebody gave Omarosa a credential to come to this conference, to this convention, and for her to be taking pictures of the podcast.
For
and
some
I hope
strange reason.
I hope that she's I hope that she live streaming so she can hear this shout out. Girl, post the picture and see the comments because I will
You're
never
welcome.
forget
You're
you
welcome.
doing that. Andrew was making a great
Yeah.
point about the importance of
No,
Doug.
no, forget it. No, but I want no. Your question was real, which was
Doug and
no.
Mom. I don't
It's
know.
okay. Look at
I don't know.
guys.
I know, but I
What time we done here? We
I wanted
7 minutes.
We're next
Okay,
to my
listen.
gravestone, what she
Listen.
did.
We
But
might go
anyway.
overtime because we want to hear you.
I know. We're not going overtime. This is
Doug
going to be
him
simple.
off.
You
Doug him
said
off.
whether or not black men can receive him in
Yes.
this way. And my point was, it doesn't matter if we do or don't. We receive her. And I
Oh,
think
I
that,
like that.
it is enough to be for her that we will show up, show out, vote, and see her elevated to the presidency. I don't think it's a petty Negro somewhere who may harbor
She just walked up.
whatever resentment may exist as a relationship. Why? You know what? I think y'all are. I think you're secretly envious of this woman. I think you might. You might. I don't know why anybody. Keep your earrings on. I don't know why anybody would take this much attention from y'all. Y'all have you so.
It's her fault.
She was standing here taking pictures. It was weird, but anyway.
She could be a fan of the show.
Great.
I
Now
hope so.
here go
Tune
this
in.
She could be a support. Okay, I'm gonna leave it
What is
alone.
happening right now? Ain't that the one guy?
You know what, y'all? We wanted to be with you till 9 Eastern.
Andrew, Andrew, can I just say
Central.
one thing that you, to your point you were
But we
raising?
about to go to bed.
Wait, no. No, this is a great transition to the point I was going to make. So last night, Steve Kerr was on the stage.
We about to go to bed.
No. Don't wave
the
at that.
basketball coach?
Yes.
Who played with Michael Jordan for the Bulls? Thank you. Come through with the sports knowledge.
Which team does he coach now?
He coaches for the NBA team.
Which
now.
one?
Yes, exactly.
Which
that
one is
one.
that? Is it the Golden State Warriors?
Yes, he coached for the Golden State Warriors, who won the championship.
That's true.
At some point.
Okay, so my nose just red.
I was mine too, which
I
is
only
why.
know that because I want to save the last
Okay,
dance.
anyway, the point is, I got to wipe that off on my coat. Okay, the point is this. You guys, last night during his speech, Andrew,
Yes.
this is important. During his speech, he did this to Donald Trump, which is what Steph Curry does when he hits them threes. You should know this, Tiff. You watching the comments.
Yes, I'm ready. I know, but I just want to see.
So that means like go night night. He said Donald Trump go night night in November, right? So here's
Steve
my
Kerr said that?
Yes, on this during his speech last night. Here's the
Okay.
point. Here's the point.
Yes, ma'am.
I think black men who have the ability to be persuaded by white men who have done powerful things and have been good allies in black spaces will receive Doug Emhoff, just like they received Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has been a fantastic ally. He stood with us on black issues. He stood with the team during the unrest surrounding George Floyd and been a fierce fighter. Bye, Jamie. We love you. We're going to see Jamie Harrison tomorrow. He's been a fierce protector of black rights and racial justice in these really treacherous times. So, yes, I think Doug Emhoff will be received like that.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that can stop her. I don't think it's anything that
Can
can
I
you
ask?
get her some tissue?
And this must be for our hands. I don't know if it works on our noses.
I just need to wipe it off my
So I'll just say this. I'm
Do you want
curious.
to apologize for the comments you made a few minutes ago?
What was the comment I made that I
You
must
said
work
we're
with?
We are envious.
I was trying to make the point
Please don't
that
ever
when
make
you're
that
a
point
lion,
again.
When you're a lion. Okay, bring it home. Give us a word,
Yes,
Andrew.
tell us
I'm
that
just
whole
saying.
word.
I'll stop there
Tell us that.
because I don't
No,
want to.
No, you got 4
I
minutes
just
to
want to
make your
stop
point.
there. That's it.
Why?
When you are a lion.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask you a question? What was your highlight from the podcast today? We had so many great guests, so many
Hakeem.
amazing conversations.
The next speaker.
Yeah.
I love his.
Elaborate on that or no?
Well, yeah. I just want to say I'm so excited. I'm a legislative. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm a lover of the House in the sense that I think that it is
like the
part of the
institution.
greatest deliberative body in the country. At least it once was. Now it is. Y'all is raining confetti on us. I think they're trying for us to rap.
This is what happens when people piss on us and tell us it rains to bring us back full circle to that National Action Network convention where that girl showed up.
But the power of the speaker, what this man will encompass in his being, and is all the way clear about the fact that he is in service.
Yeah.
I love it. It's beautiful. It's not ego, not tripping. He knows that he is there. He could not hold the Democratic caucus the way that he has these last 2 years without being acutely aware that he is in service in that position to others. And I love the fact that the ego, if it exists, it comes out at the right times.
Yeah.
Right? As a tool, and not to make him a tool.
Yeah.
Right? He uses it as a tool.
I have to say, Tiff and Andrew, that my highlight today was starting the show.
With the Machetes.
Well, yeah, with the Machetes, but also LaTosha Brown talking
Love
about
her.
building Black political power. And we literally, at every turn in the show, had that confirmation, whether it was from Delta Sigma Theta or Win with Black Women or BlackPac. And the work that Terrence is doing at every turn, there are people who are in public service themselves or working to facilitate opportunities for the next generation of public servants who are Black. That was so powerful to me, and I loved being able to share that space with y'all.
And for the listeners, the folks who tune in, who are real faithful, to be able to expose them to those voices that they can hear from directly. Because so many times people have jaded views of people in politics who are elected officials. Yeah. And I feel like just in the last 2 days, and we're not even done, we're halfway at the point, right, that we've been able to set in front of folks, not the mystery of the individual, but the person, and you get a flavor for who they are, where they come, what they're doing, and that they're working on your behalf. And I hope that it renews in some people a sense of encouraged belief that everybody ain't bad who's in this game. In fact, more often than not, if we take a long enough look, we see more good.
Yeah.
We see a lot more good than bad.
Can I say my highlight?
Yeah, you didn't say your highlight.
I think any time that I get to share space with LaTosha, I was telling her partner earlier, I get so jealous of anytime somebody else gets LaTosha's time when I'm talking to her and she starts talking to, her auntie or her niece, and I'm just like, if I'm like I want to just spend time, I want to have lunch or something, and she's like, my sister's friend from so-and-so gonna join us. I'm like, I just want my time with her because she really is an empath, a visionary. And we talk about politics on this show, but LaTosha has poured into all of us,
of course,
on such a deep personal level. And if I could bottle her up and give her away for Christmas, I would do it, and it would be priceless.
No, because then you'd have to share it.
How about
you ain't gonna do it.
She ain't doing it. She may bottle it up and store a bunch of them on the shelf.
Probably.
But I do want to say, Andrew made a good point as we get ready to close out the show. Tiff, we only have 2 days left. It's going by so fast.
It is, yeah.
But you guys, tomorrow, my only call to action is that y'all tune in the next 2 days.
Yeah, what's happening tomorrow?
Is historic for Native Land Pod.
Oh.
Tomorrow, we will be live streaming still, but we are in collaboration with The Breakfast Club, the #1 morning show in the country.
Yeah.
And we'll be joined by our good brother and friend, Charlemagne the God, also known as Leonard McKelvey. So
are we... Is the Breakfast Club, are we airing as the Breakfast Club?
We are airing as Native Land Pod and the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the mornings,
it
will be...
So we're still live streaming.
Yes.
And they are also taping for the Breakfast Club.
Got it.
The next morning. So it will air on Thursday morning and Friday morning on the Breakfast Club. We will still be streaming tomorrow. We hope that y'all will tune in.
Yeah.
Who's on tomorrow?
Oh.
A lot of governors. It's going to be great.
Y'all
Tune in to
gotta
see.
go to our Instagram page, which is at Native Land Pod, and all of our social handles are at Native Land Pod to see who our guests will be tomorrow.
Well, the rumor is that Beyonce or Taylor Swift is coming. I don't know if that's still a rumor. Is Beyonce joining us on set tomorrow?
I mean, y'all could channel her.
I don't think you're ready for this channel.
Tune in tomorrow to see if
Check us
Beyonce
out, y'all.
shows up on the set.
Welcome home, everybody.
Welcome
Thank
home,
you for
77
sticking
days
it
until
out.
the election. Bye,
Thanks
y'all.
for tuning in.
Bye.
Thank you for joining the natives. Intentional with the info on all of the latest. Rye, Gillum, and Cross connected to the statements that you leave on our socials. Thank you sincerely for the patience. Reason for your choice is clear. We're so grateful. Took the oath to execute roles. Yeah, faithful. Preserve, defend, and protect the truth, even if painful. Welcome home to all of the natives. We thank you.
Welcome home, y'all.
What's
Welcome
up,
home.
sis?